Alrighty, I think we should be live. Easy. Yes, I have. I finished exams, so I have nothing but free time. So, just trying to grind out as best I can. uh, 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 uh. Justin, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Close your eyes.
Wendashi, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Come to me.
That feels like it's really loud. I'm gonna turn that down.
Just dance with me all the night.
Today's gonna be a peak stream. All right, good stuff. All right, a couple of people have said that, so I'm gonna guess we're gonna get that assassination attempt today. DSV, how's it going, man? How you doing?
'Cause I just know feeling of you. Give it to me, baby.
All right, I got the whole EPUB situation figured out, so it should run a-okay now. I don't think we should have any more issues, hopefully. But you know, saying that sentence is generally bad luck, so I don't know. I wouldn't pray too hard. Good, excited for the stream. Good to hear, DSV. All right, we're gonna rip through, what is it, 7 or 8 chapters, something like that. Good time. Milos, how's it going, man? Alright, we'll wait for like 2 or 3 more minutes, then we'll get started. Nagato, how's it going? Oh, that reminds me. Light, how's everyone doing this fine morning or afternoon? Another new site? No, it's the same document that I don't know if you were here for the. Were you here for the morning stream? I can't. No, I don't think you were here. Were you? I can't remember. I think you were here. This is the document that Romero sent, so it's just should be hopefully a better translation, but yeah, same thing. I've got. Oh, you were sorry. So it's I got a different. I was only on the last stream. I see. So I just got a new opener for the document that Romero sent, so it should run okay now, because I don't know why I did not have Thorium downloaded. I don't know why. I think, well, actually, I think I do know why. I had to wipe my computer a couple of months back because I was having this problem where occasionally it would just shut down under load. It was like the dumbest thing. I know this EPUB. Fantastic. All right. So I have it, didn't use it though. So on that note, I also had to mess around with the overlay a little bit to make sure you guys could see it okay. So we either have this as normal, or we can also go with this one. Either or, they both I think look relatively fine. With this one, you won't see the right edge of the stuff because my face intrudes on that. Yes, apologies. Although I guess if I wanted to, I could do this. But that looks really small. I don't like it. So we're going to leave that as is. I like this one better for the moment. But we can... Now first is bad. So you guys like this one better? Yes. Okay. All right. We can do this one for the moment, and then we can readjust that later if we need to. But yeah. By the way, on that note, just before we get started, so today and tomorrow I am all alone at the house, which means if there's some cool shit coming up in the next like 15-20 chapters, let me know. We can hammer through them tomorrow. because I have nothing but time and no one's here to bother me or need anything from me, and I have no responsibilities. Well, I have responsibilities. I just shirk them, so, separate issue. Yes, good Lord. All right. On that note, let us, Nightwalkers, how's it going, man? All right, we'll get started in like 10 seconds. It's 7:05. I survived? What happened? Everything okay? All right, let's get started. Aaron and Talum. Actually, hold on. I'm going to be a little annoying. Give me a second. I'm just trying to see if I want to zoom this in a little bit more. Am I fucking blind and I can't read? Perhaps, but don't judge me. All right, I just want to make sure the overlay doesn't get too... And the overlay's fucked. Fantastic. Love that. Okay, hold on. Okay. So we can, yes, we'll do that for the moment. Okay. Nightwalker didn't fall asleep. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Aaron and Talum left the Quella Club after separately and completing the nomination form. It wasn't a weekend. The former had 2 more operations in the afternoon, and the latter had to teach the Viscount Conrad's youngest son horse riding. The teenager needed to ensure that he didn't embarrass himself during the backland social events in the second half of the year. Klein watched the valet dressed in a red vest and a maid in a beautiful dress come and go a few times before finally delivering his own proof of membership and a badge with the symbol of the Frost constellation engraved on it. An entry fee of £50. There are still 3.5 months left in the year, with an annual fee of £4 a year. The valet in the red vest pushed 2 objects to Klein. Klein took out the £57 which Mary Gale had given to him and handed £54. The amount beyond the entry fee and annual fee was Mary's first payment. She was very pleased with how quickly Klein obtained the information on Doragu Gale's mistress, as well as her photo. How did he get her photo? Oh, I guess he must have taken it as she left, I guess. The amount, £50 membership. Madame Mary is such a generous lady. While Klein watched the valet and the maid verify the money and confirm the exact amount, he recalled Stella and Sammer's private introduction. Mary's father was a co-founder of the Coim company and had a 20% stake. It was originally just a small company that barely made money, but as Backland's pollution worsened and the demand for anthracite and charcoal increased, the company rapidly expanded to become one of the top 10 companies in the capital industry. As such, Mary's net worth skyrocketed. She was making that Jeff Bezos money, right? The only problem was that when she had to marry Doragu Gale, the company was still quite an unknown company. Her father hadn't paid much attention to using the shares as a dowry, and didn't proceed with any protection of estate gifting, and instead used the more popular willing of gifts. The former refers to the dowry as an independent, separate estate if the woman is not subjected to the husband's control. Even the right of use depended on the woman, and the latter assigned the dowry ownership to the entire family. So he used the willing of gifts, which means it's the entire family's, I see. However, the husband had to immediately make a valid will to promise that if he were to pass away before his partner, the split of the estate would be 2 to 4 times the rights and interest of the dowry received, after which the rest would proceed according to the normal inheritance laws, which could effectively guarantee the livelihood of the widow. God, like, that's so intricate. Like, it's just a paragraph, but it's so intricate that he went through the hassle of coming up with that. That's like valuable to me. If Mary initiated a divorce before she could get evidence of Doragu's adultery, the Coim company shares would be divided evenly between both parties. Klein remembered Stellan saying enviously, the current value of those shares is close to £20,000. Adding the other property in her name, Mary is a truly wealthy lady. Now, like, that puts it more into context, right? Like, for a middle-aged, what the fuck? For a relatively, like, okay, well-to-do sort of family, middle class is the word I'm looking for. Good Lord. Having a value of £20,000 is like, that's a wealthy lady. Holy shit. And on the other hand, Audrey got £30,000 and she's like, it's nice to have. Don't get me wrong, but I don't really care about it. Once she's divorced, she will definitely become the target of many men in Backland, including some nobles. That's only enough money for Miss Justice to assassinate Ambassador Bakerland twice, Klein suddenly thought. Mr. Moriarty, welcome to the Quelaag Club, said the red-vested valet. Upon hearing this, Klein picked up the proof of membership and the frost badge. The former was made out of elastic paper, which looked like a card with Klein's name and membership start date on it. After applying an imprint of his index finger, the proof of membership was officially ready for use. The ladder of the Quelaag Club's distinctive badge, named for its founding in early November, which corresponds to the month of the Frost constellation. The symbol and number of 192 were imprinted on the front, followed by Sherlock Moriarty imprinted on the back. I'm half asleep. Wait, what time is it for you, Nightwalker? The club has 192 members, Klein asked. Yes, our club doesn't accept people without a recommendation. On the first floor, there's a buffet, cafeteria, bar, library, squash room, conference room, and card room. You can use them all for free. Whoa. Just drink the sleepless potion? If you're real sleepy, man, just go to bed. You can watch the VOD later if you really want to. If you want to stay up and watch, I would recommend getting some coffee or tea, though. 5 a.m. Oh, my God. The food and wine are free for your sampling as well. There are 16 lounges and 2 small conference rooms on the second floor. They're also free and can be used as long as they aren't occupied. The good-looking maid pointed to her rear? There are 2 tennis courts on the lawn, totally free of charge. There are 2 shooting ranges underground, and you need only pay the corresponding rental fee of equipment. If you aren't satisfied with a simple buffet, you can order a la carte. We have an exclusive chef, and you need to pay for the ingredients. Board, lodging, entertainment are all provided. As expected of a high-end club, Klein sincerely thanked Mrs. Mary. He warmly smiled and said, "Send someone to show me around so that I can familiarize myself with the environment. Afterward, give me a lounge to take an afternoon nap." "All right," said the valet. After familiarizing himself with the club's environment, he entered the lounge and carefully studied the layout of the place. He discovered it to be similar to a hotel room of the later generation. He said it was decorated in the Intis style. Of course it would be if you're cheating on your wife here. It seems fitting, right? I have to consider how to obtain evidence regarding Duragu's affair tomorrow. It's simply impossible to hide the flash of a camera. In other words, I only have one shot to take a picture. If I do that, I'll definitely be kicked out of the club. I have to think of a safe way. I'll read through the papers later and try to determine the progress regarding Ian's case through the news. From there, I can determine which 3 days I should be guarded. Klein paced back and forth, lost in thought. At that moment, his heart suddenly palpitated as he tensed up. Is this the premonition of a clown? But there's no scenes in my mind. He felt the air around him turn still, like it was the calm before the storm. Klein Pyarch, we're catching cheater with this one. Hell yeah. Soon, the feeling disappeared as if nothing had happened. Could it be that danger is approaching, but nothing like this happened when I was attacked by Merceau? Puzzled, Klein pulled out a coin and divined if he would be attacked in the next few days. The answer was negative. After thinking about it for a few seconds, he drew the curtains and pretended to take an afternoon nap. He took 4 steps counterclockwise and went above the grey fog. He sat and pondered before muttering to himself, I will be in grave danger the next few days. Just tell him you're from Intis and he'll let you watch. Genius! You just say like, hey, this is for our magazine. You mind if we take a couple of photos? And the guy will, of course, be like, of course, brother, no problem. Take as many as you need. After repeating the statement, duality of Klein. On one side, he is trying to unalive Ambassador. On the other, he's catching adultery. He's catching adultery, okay? Murder? Would you... Here's the question. Would you call what Klein is doing murder or self-defense? Now, legally, it's murder. Let me be very clear. I mean in your point of view. After repeating the statement, he flicked the coin again and saw that object tumble down into his open palm. The portrait of the king was facing up. A positive result. My reaction just now was an omen that danger is coming. Klein narrowed his eyes and leaned back in his chair. That probably means it was a seer that was attacking him because he could, whatever it said, like a higher sequence can lower sequence of the same pathway. So he was probably influencing him so he couldn't see anything, but he still felt it. Come on, I said, or not like this. Whether it was a seer or as a clown, they had never displayed such abilities before. Even if they could predict danger, it was because the target was right in front of him. There was no one around me. From the fact that my divination was misled, it must have involved a relatively higher sequencer. Most likely Bakerland's assistant. In the end, it actually gave me a premonition. This isn't scientific. This doesn't make any sense. There must be someone else behind it, but I can't be certain why. Klein looked around and saw the boundless fog. Crimson and still the palace standing as it always stood. He reined in his doubts and temporarily stopped thinking about the reason. Instead, he focused his attention on the attack that was about to occur. After several divinations, he discovered that he could only confirm there would be grave danger in the next few days. It couldn't be shortened to 3 days, 2 days, or even 5 hours. I was watching Inglorious Bastards and the Frenchman maybe want to... In other words, he could only obtain a somewhat vague revelation and a dream divination. He saw Ian dressed in his old coat, standing in the street with elegant gas lamps and the blurry crimson moon behind him. Other than this image, there was nothing else. How should I interpret this? Klein thought for a moment. He could only assume that this was a prelude to danger. Without further ado, he returned to the real world, left the Quelaag Club, and went to the nearby Hillston branch of the Backland Bank to withdraw the remaining £100 from his account. The sum of 1,000 from Justice hadn't cleared yet and reconciled. Without the corresponding information sent to the branches, the account wasn't synchronized, and theoretically speaking, there was a loophole. Klein could withdraw £100 from another bank and seize the opportunity when all of the accounts were out of sync. But in theory, in order to avoid similar acts, the banks had many rules on anonymous accounts. First, it was to enhance the transmission of similar information in the same bank. Second, to limit a single withdrawal to no more than £500. And third, if the last withdrawal wasn't done locally, a telegram was needed to inquire about it. And today, Klein encountered the third situation. Putting away the money, he took a horse carriage to the Backland Bridge and entered the Bravehearts Bar. Under Casper's guidance, he saw Merrick sitting in the card room. He wasn't surrounded by zombies. Klein discarded the idea of using his spirituality to wrap Azek's whistle, slapped £100 on the table, and said to Merrick, "I agree to a deal. I'll pay an advance of 100 and another 300 for every day that I'm protected. The protection begins now." Merrick's gaze fell past him and landed somewhere behind him. He said, and nodded, "All right, she has agreed." Huh? Klein turned back only to see the wall and nothing but air. He secretly activated his spirit vision but failed to discover anything. Merrick stuffed the £100 into his pocket and said indifferently, "You can return now. She's begun protecting you in a hidden way." If I hadn't divined this before, I would definitely think you all cheats. I would think of all of you as cheats. Klein surveyed his surroundings and deliberately acted as though he left with clenched teeth. Klein is so fast at finding scamming opportunities. I know, he was just thinking about robbing a bank. Now, that has a bigger connotation to it because you imagine like you go in with guns or whatever, but like that's robbing a bank, man. The music is there, Kami. Can you guys not hear it? Along the way, he would occasionally activate and deactivate his spirit vision, constantly observing the outside through the carriage windows, but he didn't find his so-called bodyguard. Back at his house, Klein closed the door, went to the bathroom, and turned on the tap and washed his hands. The sound of water splashing disappeared as he shook off the water droplets and wiped the palm with his hands. I don't hear the music? Interesting. Okay, let me know if you can hear it now. Yes. At that moment, he saw himself phasing away in the mirror before transforming into a woman wearing a black regal dress. I hear my laptop going hum. Can hear it now? Perfect. He then... The woman had light golden hair and blue eyes. She looked very delicate, but her face was abnormally pale. She wore a small black bonnet, lifted her dress and bowed at Klein. Without hiding his surprise, Klein took a few steps back and leaned against the wall. Only then did he realize that he hired a bodyguard for that he had hired. No. Only then did he realize that this might be the bodyguard he hired for £1,000. The image in the mirror quickly dimmed and Klein saw himself again. Everything had been restored to normal. Interesting. 247. Is this like a higher sequence of whatever Forz has, maybe? Or could this be the Traveler? This makes me think of the Traveler that the Rear Admiral mentioned. If she's traveling in the spirit world, it would make sense that Klein can't see her. The figure in the mirror was clear, but it was as though the woman in the black regal dress had never appeared. Klein activated his spirit vision, but didn't find anything. Did I just hire a female ghost as my bodyguard? She's even stranger than a ghost. At the very least, one can see ghosts with the spirit vision. Klein thoughtfully touched Azek's copper whistle in his pocket, feeling nothing but its cold chill. Like before, it didn't have any additional changes. She's unaffected by the copper whistle. Doesn't seem like she's undead, but I can't be sure. Goth baddie bodyguard, yeah. Back then, the copper whistle was buried with me, but the corpses surrounding me didn't act abnormally. Was it because those buried in the cemetery have experienced a send-off by a priest and bishop? When does it work and when doesn't it? When the business of the ambassador is over, if I'm still alive, I'll go to the cemetery and try to figure out the scope of its effects and limits. I can't just carry around a time bomb like this. Klein washed his face and walked out of the bathroom. Just as he picked up the newspaper in the living room, he was going to read it in the living room or bedroom, but he heard the doorbell ring. Klein's mind tensed up as he heard the tinkling sound. He put on his coat with all kinds of materials and walked towards the door. Gingerly, he knew that there was danger approaching in the next few days. He clearly knew the danger was good lord, already read that. After standing behind the door and waiting for a moment, the scene outside naturally surfaced in Klein's mind. The crimson moon was faintly discernibly in the sky. The elegant gas lamp on both sides of the street lit up the wet road. A boy wearing an old coat stood there. Ian Wright. Ian, why did he appear? Isn't this what I saw in my dream divination? Is this a prelude to danger? Detective Moriarty. Ian took off his cap. I came to apologize. I'm sorry I involved you in such a dangerous matter. What you should have done is head to the police. Ian looked around and bowed his head. I just came out from MI9. Is that the name of the military special department? Maybe we can have a chat, Klein said. I have to at least know what placed me in this situation, he sighed. Ian didn't stand on ceremony as he followed Klein into the living room and sat on the same spot he did last time. If you plan on saying you will put me in great danger, there's no need to tell me about it, Klein suddenly added. No, everything will be over soon. Ian's calmness that was beyond his age. Ian had a calmness that was beyond his age. So, what exactly happened? Klein asked out of curiosity. Before he could finish his sentence, he saw a figure emerge from the panes of the oriel window, in a black regal dress, long hair tied in a bun, blue eyes, delicate features, and a pale face. It was the woman who had previously greeted Klein in the window. The woman seemed to find an illusory high-backed chair and sat down. Her palm supported her right elbow while her right hand supported her face. pretending to listen attentively while appearing expressionless. For a moment, Klein was at a loss. Ian softly said, "In fact, Detective Zuriel is a spy for the Fasak Empire. He adopted several vagrants and children and taught them how to gather intelligence. I am one of them." Interesting. Good lord. The plot thickens. So that's how it is. I was involved in a huge spy conspiracy. We have the advantage of age and are often ignored by others, allowing us to gather a lot of useful information. 2 weeks ago, I stumbled upon clues regarding Helmosoon's manuscript. I don't know what that is. Helmosoon? Klein found the name familiar. Ian looked up and explained. Turancy von Helmosoon, the greatest scientist after Emperor Roselle, a mathematician, a mechanist, and the father of the second generation difference engines. So it's him. Sorry, I'm gonna add that to my lore. Well, before I started stream, I started splitting my notes at least slightly into a different stuff. I still have a lot of the stuff I need to change around and format and stuff, but at least we got started on it. Turani von Helmosoon, the greatest scientist since Roselle. He wasn't only a great scientist, but also a crazy scientist. He believed that the inherent flaw of the existence of humans could only be fixed through machines. He loved eating sugar as if it was his own energy source. He mysteriously disappeared while researching a different third generation difference engine, and was an important figure that every country was trying to find. His manuscripts, do they involve the third generation engines? Klein asked. A difference engine is a mechanical device for computing. It could effectively improve the efficiency of scientific research and various projects. In Klein's head, it was the alternative computer in the Steam Age. Of course, it could only do computations at present. I'm not sure. I didn't actually see it. Perhaps it had some related clues. Roselle having a doctorate in plagiarism? Yeah, I know. Like, this guy's this guy, unless he's another goddamn transmigrator, he seems to be like an actual honest-to-God genius. Roselle is he just took credit for shit. Dick. When I reported it to Detective Zuriel, he was very happy and told me to follow up on that lead, when he immediately reported it to his superiors. It took some time to determine where the manuscript was, but I was afraid of the danger, so I didn't steal it directly. I decided to return to Detective Zuriel, and after that, it was as I told you. His house was infiltrated by many of the tiny traps were not restored, and he didn't respond to my contact request, and the Zmonger gang tried to capture me. With your help, I confirmed the death of Detective Zuriel. I took a fake tooth from his corpse. That happened after we parted. It was inspired by Roselle, and that's okay, right? Like every genius generally has stood on the shoulder of others, right? Like Einstein had a couple hundred years worth of physics that he could base his theory of relativity on. If that didn't exist, his work would be a lot more basic. Not because he wasn't as smart as he was, but because, like the baser building blocks need to exist before you build on top of them. So that's okay. Like he could have someone that he was inspired by, but there's a difference between like taking inspiration and then improving on someone's work and just straight up fucking copying it. Luis, I had no class today. Your first stream ended before I woke up. No worries, Nagita. This is, I believe, 247. Let me just confirm. 247, yes. That's why Newton is the GOAT. Isaac Newton is definitely up there, dude. You could definitely make the argument that because again, he created algebra and algebra or calculus. I can't remember. I think it was algebra before he turned 26. The guy's is a brilliant genius. Detective Zuriel told me that inscribed on the inside of the tooth there was a method to urgently contact his superior. It was a method that even he didn't know of, and something he would only remove if an accident occurred. So he sent a telegram? A rare look of surprise flashed across Ian's face as he asked, "Did the people from MI9 tell you that?" "No, a friend of mine happened to see you on Bacardi Street." Klein casually made up an excuse. Let's just pretend Roselle did it only to improve the life of others. Yeah, of course, why not? No worries, Bullseye. I'm glad you could catch this stream. Hold on. Oh, sorry, maybe it wasn't algebra, maybe it was calculus. Yes, it was Sir Isaac Newton, sorry, apologies. It wasn't, you're right, algebra was found in Arabic nations. It was founded by this guy. I am not going to try to pronounce that, I think. Yeah, sorry. But yes, it was calculus, not algebra. Good catch, Kami. Don't say Arabic in front of me. I have been studying Arabic for 6 hours a day. Sorry, Nagitsu. I see. Ian nodded in depression. I got in touch with his superior in Backland via telegram and arranged the time and place. But soon enough, I found this monger gang. No, to be exact, it was an intelligence officer of the Intis Republic. That was the people from that was what the people from MI9 told me. However, MI9 arrived in time, and both sides engaged in a chaotic battle. I took the opportunity to escape. However, when I met with Detective Zariel's superior this afternoon, I was once again ambushed by the intelligence officers. Unfortunately, I was caught by them and I was afraid of dying, so I told them all I know. However, they didn't keep their promise and still wanted to kill me. At that moment, MI9 finally found me. It was only during such times when he looked like a 15 or 16-year-old teenager. Klein was reflecting over this. He suddenly thought of a problem from what Ian had just said. Back when he discovered that something important was left behind on Zariel's corpse and that Ian had successfully taken it away, he had written the matter off, thinking the Beyonder was completely lacking in skill. And the Beyonder had missed out on something because the mediumship provided little information. However, after confirming the ambassador had a mid-sequence Beyonder of the Seer pathway, the situation became extremely peculiar. With powerful mediumship, it was impossible for the fake tooth not to be discovered. Leaving the body in such a remote and hard-to-find place didn't seem like a trap. With Ian's description, the answer was obvious. Have you ever heard of the possibility that Zariel's superior has traitors around him? A traitor who has defected to the Intis intelligence services? Ah. This is too funny to have to do. That's also why Zariel was exposed and killed when he obtained the clue to the manuscript, and also why you were ambushed. It's because the Intis ambassador had information on Zariel's superior, which is why he didn't pay much attention to the urgent communication method inscribed on the inside of the tooth. You're fine, Nagito. You're fine. Nothing's happening, man. Just ignore chat for a little bit. They'll forget. They're children. Ian fell into a daze when he heard that. It took him quite a while before he clenched his fists in anger, trying to compose himself. I didn't think of that. You really are an excellent detective. You think you're sleep deprived? It's 1 a.m. for me. For Nightwalker, it's 5 a.m. So, it's 12:30 for you. Good lord. Where the fuck are all of you from? Username, you're 5-ish hours ahead of me. Where'd you be from? I don't even know. He quietly let out a breath of air and changed the topic. I have divulged the whereabouts of the manuscript to MI9 and everyone else. They also mentioned your predicament in passing. They didn't suspect me of lying, nor did they send anyone to watch me. All of them went to vie for the manuscript. However, with that kind of pressure, no one can lie. Oh, UK. Good lord, UK's 5 hours ahead of me? Interesting. Having said that, Ian stood up and gave a deep bow. Please, allow me to apologize. I'm sorry to have involved you in this. Actually, you don't need to hide anything from me. Klein smiled and said, no, the main problem in this matter was because I made a mistake that ended me in my current situation. Devil, how's it going, man? How you doing? As he was listening, he used Ian's description of the entire situation and his reflections of the past few days and confirmed that he had made 2 mistakes. West Coast. West Coast. Oh, okay, 4:33, but in the afternoon. So you're chilling. It's a great time for you, Bullseye. As he was listening, he used Ian's description of the entire situation and reflected on the past few days and confirmed 2 mistakes he made. When I discovered that Ian's matter ran deeper than it appeared, I still accepted it. That wasn't a problem since I felt that it only involved gangs and there would be at most 1 or 2 Beyonders who wouldn't dare expose themselves. But the divination lacked enough information and ended with failure. This was within the limits of what I could have resolved by myself, and typically speaking, there wouldn't be any trouble. I could even take the opportunity to come into contact with Backlund's Beyonders. After finding Zariel's corpse and confirming the matter ran deep, I should have considered the sensitivity of my identity and decisively extricated myself from the case. I should have let Ian deal with the subsequent matters himself. That wouldn't be problematic and be a rather careful choice. You get 0 in all of them? So I can cheat. Milosh, how come you're having online classes? One of the mistakes I made was that I didn't flinch or reveal anything about Ian when Merceau came to me. I only thought that he was from a gang, and that there was some Beyonders behind that gang. Who would have guessed that it involved a figure like the Intes ambassador? Even more so, I never expected Merceau to be so rash. After failing his mission, he didn't threaten, intimidate me, or proceed with other options. He came straight to kill me, so that the mediumship ritual could be performed. He didn't even give me the chance to regret my decision, so my situation worsened again. It has 1,800 plus views? That's awesome, Milosh. Where's it posted? I'll check it out later. So this isn't too subjective or too serious a mistake. The one mistake that really caused me to be in such a passive situation was a tiny mistake I made from the very beginning. I rented the house and accepted the mission as Sherlock Moriarty without donning a disguise. This resulted in me not being able to flee after my identity as a Beyonder was exposed to the ambassador. Even if I acted horrified and frantic, making MI9 and police department believe that my taking flight would be only normal, I didn't dare flee. I was afraid that when the ambassador failed to find a target for revenge, he would inform the officials about me. And according to my experience as a Nighthawk, most official enforcers like Nighthawk, Hive Mind, and Punishers harbor animosity towards uncontrolled Beyonders. They definitely wouldn't ignore me just because I'm a low sequence and would begin an investigation. That's not always the case. In time, my looks will be clear evidence. Then I will be pursued by high sequence Beyonders from the Church of the Goddess because I resurrected despite having been involved with the Grade Zero artifact. There's no chance for such matters to be suddenly forgotten or thought of as nothing by others. I have to plan for the worst case scenario in advance. If only I reacted when the ambassador took action. It would definitely be too late, whether it's an assassination, finding a bodyguard, or buying items. All of them require time. Only if the ambassador and his assistant die or attention is diverted to the investigation of their death will I be able to resolve this latent danger. His assistant doesn't have an official status, so I can't interact with the officials. I'm gonna guess the reason everyone is so excited is there's in the next couple of chapters there's gonna be the assassination attempt on the ambassador. We're gonna find out something about whoever his assistant is, and maybe Klein from him can get the Sequence 7 potion. Ingredients, not the potion itself, rather, sorry. For a mere Sequence 9 or 8 at best, someone whose whereabouts are unknown, there's no reason to go through the effort to report me. I'm also... Of course, his death is the best outcome. There won't be any latent danger. What the fuck are you guys talking about here? What is said when I don't. Yeah, I don't even know. I look at chat occasionally and I go, I don't even know. Oh, actually, I don't know if anyone remembers this. Do you remember when we were talking about when Audrey was learning about the spectator pathway, and we were talking, well, I was talking rather, about how the Dragon King, whatever the fuck, he has a big name. I don't know. I don't remember. I can check my notes, but whatever. He has like a really big name, and he was known as like the imaginary dragon or some shit. Like whatever he, or the whatever he imagined, he could make into reality. And I said, La Place. Yes, this is my first time reading Lord of the Mysteries. Thanks for popping by. How you doing? So I said that like, because he can make his the dragon of imagination. Yes, thank you. I said that like that would be like Remy's visionary ability. I can't think of a better word. I think visionary is pretty good. But and then I was thinking about his kid. His kid, which was I don't remember the name of the Dragon King's kid, but he was the Dragon of Nightmare. I was thinking about it now because I was trying to think of a better word for nightmare. I'm pretty good too, Place. Thanks for asking. I was thinking about whether, like, what I would name that, because Nightmare I couldn't find a good name for. But then I was thinking more about it, and I realized Nightmare is kind of a stupid name for what that dragon is. That dragon isn't a nightmare. That dragon's like a... It's kind of like the artifact 08, right? It like... Azulhud, Dragon of Nightmare. Thank you, Kami. It's like a manipulator dragon because it tells people to like go places and do stuff. Manipulator sounds too close to... There was another one that sounded really close to manipulator. I think in the hunter pathway or something. So I don't think it's that, but I think it's gotta be some... What was the one in the hunter pathway? Provoker. No, Provoker's kind of different. What was the one in the Demoness pathway? What am I thinking of? Demoness? Instigator? Manipulator's different from those. I think Manipulator's Conspirer? No, I was thinking of Instigator. Thank you, Wendashi. So, Instigator I was thinking of. But I think Manipulator is sufficiently different from that. But Manipulator doesn't sound good. I don't know. Manipulator sounds like a dog shit name. We're gonna... Manipulator synonyms. What are we thinking? Oh, Exploiter's good. I like this. Fuck it. Okay. We're gonna go with Exploiter. That sounds good. We're gonna go with that one. That sounds like a pretty good. I'm gonna guess... So I think I said... the Dragon King was like sequence 1 or something because he's the Dragon King. It logically makes sense he's sequence 1. And then I'm going to guess Exploiter is like sequence 3. Because his son has to be like decently weaker than him. But like it wouldn't be like a low sequence. Gaslighter. Gaslighter's too similar to like Provoker. So I can't go with that one. But I think that's pretty good. I think I'm gonna go with Exploiter Sequence 3 in the spectator pathway. Sorry, that was just my thought process I was trying to walk through with you guys. I'm happy he isn't here. Oh, Unhinged Provoker. Very good. Only if the... where am I? Of course, his death is the best outcome. There won't be any latent danger. Compared to finding Mr. Azek for help or having attention placed on me because of 008 again, as well as being pursued by high sequence beyonders, assassinating the ambassador is a relatively simple choice. Even if it fails, I can only bear one of the two outcomes. Remember that you level up abilities from previous sequences, so his manipulator abilities would be much, much powerful. Yeah, no, that's fair. But even so, because the Dragon King, I would assume, would be sequence 1. Or if my logic is right, then it would be sequence 0. But again, I don't know if that even exists. So that would be like sequence 1 or 0 visionary, sequence 3 exploiter. What did I say? Exploiter. Yeah. Everything originated from a small oversight in the beginning. I just imagined that in a metropolis of over 5 million people, a few people knowing me while I deliberately avoided the Nighthawks, there would be no need for me to don a disguise every day, since it would be easier for others to notice something amiss. Yet, for such a small mistake, I have to pay £10,000 as the price of having any guarantee to resolve it. I really am a clown. With one mistake triggering a chain reaction only to be in a desperate situation to balance myself so as to please the audience. This is all because of my lack of experience. This is the first time in my two lifetimes that I've ever been a fugitive. Once this matter is completely resolved, exposing my identity as a Beyonder would no longer be that dangerous. They would only think that I obtained a potion while finding a bodyguard and not doubt my origins. Of course, I'll have to get used to wearing glasses and a mustache in the future, so people around me will gradually get used to my new image. In the future, when they ask about me, they will only think of this image. It's time for me to... oh, good lord. It's time for me to leave. I'll need to disappear for a while, otherwise I might be thrown in jail. Ian put on his hat, bade farewell, and left. Klein didn't stop him, watching him disappear into the crimson moonlight while a woman by the oriel window disappeared without him realizing. 2:48. Oh yeah, like 15 minutes, 2 chapters in, pretty good time. With both sides being aware of the whereabouts of Helmuson's manuscripts, this matter would come to an end tonight. Therefore, the ambassador would have to have the freedom to take revenge. Is this the reason for the impending danger? Klein gained a rough understanding of the divination results and the inexplicable omen. I think this lady's a traveler. I think this makes sense to me. I can't think of anything else she would be. Because it looks like she's living in the spirit world. Or, like, existing in the spirit world. I don't know. The most important thing is that Klein thinks about all of this in 2 seconds. True. If he hadn't gone to the language of if he didn't have the language of foulness charm or a powerful Beyonder that cost him £1,000, he would have shamelessly gone to the police or the Church of God of Steam and Machinery as headquarters in Backland, St. Ireland's Cathedral, for a temporary stay. Klein is very smart. Dare I say, I am too. He could avoid any possible attacks and await the assassination of the ambassador. As for how successful the assassination would be, Klein wasn't confident. He had considered the worst outcome and already planned for it. But now, with the double preparations, he no longer wanted to avoid it. He wanted to stay at home and pretend he knew nothing. Deep down, he was even looking forward to having his attackers come knocking at his door. Well, I'm a bit late. Not much, Ramiro. Just missed 2 chapters. You're okay. I appreciate you popping by. How's it going? Sequence 9, Hunter Merceau was killed by me. Even if they send someone else again, there would at least be a sequence 7 or maybe even 6 or 5. They might even come in numbers, but regardless, as long as I finish them off, obtain formulas and Beyonder characteristics, I can buy and make up for my losses. Yes, I'll tell Miss Bodyguard that I had good luck and managed to benefit from the black ear that I bought and became a Beyonder. After all, when the battle becomes intense, there's no need to hide it at that point. Besides, what I'm saying is relatively true. I did benefit significantly from the black ear. Klein considered what should follow soon, and instinctively drew a sign of the crimson moon on his chest. May the goddess bless you. May the goddess bless me that the Beyonder who comes is the one from the seer pathway. He prayed silently. Yeah, you get so much information. Dragon of Information and Nightmare lore already existed. I just gave my theory on it. I think is much more accurate, Milosh. As he thought of it, he looked around the room for his bodyguard. He was worried that she would run away without a sound after hearing the whole story. The lights in the living room were warm, illuminating the coffee table, sofa, and chairs. There was no one else in the room except him. As Klein gradually grew nervous, he suddenly saw a face appear in the glass cover of the gas lamp. The face was pale, with gold hair and delicate looks. The lady's quite confident in her own strength as he whispered to himself, I'm also a beyonder. I made a gamble on an item I bought from Casper's gathering and benefited, but it was only for me. He's mad. He's like, damn it, she's stronger than me. What he said was true. No matter what method he had to face, these sentences would endure a truth test. But when these two sentences were put together, one would think that the benefits made him a beyonder. Yeah, that's right, Nightwalker. Yep. You just simplified something that took me like 5 minutes to try to think out in one sentence. The face on the glass nodded slightly and quickly disappeared without any reaction. Klein's expression didn't... Yes, if sequence 0 exists, yeah. I said that about Visionary. I couldn't think of a good name for the Nightmare one, Romero, so I came up with the Exploiter. The Visionary part, yes, you're right. We already came up with that from... That's a complete ripoff of Remy from Bleach, but I like it. And then the Exploiter, I think, is a good one. Klein's expression didn't change, but he secretly exhaled in his heart. Without taking off his coat, he went back to the sofa and picked up a newspaper and started reading. After a while, the tinkling sound echoed again. Someone had rung the doorbell. Who is it? Klein immediately tensed up, stuffed his hands into his pocket, touching his tarot cards in the language of foulness charm. He slowly walked towards the door. With the help of the abilities of a clown, he predicted what would happen after opening. The crimson moon was still faintly visible, the elegant gas lamps were unchanged, and a sergeant in black and white checkered uniform with 3 chevrons on his epaulets was impatiently waiting by the door. Yes, Nagito. Technically, yes. I thought Manipulator was good, but that sounds stupid, so I went with Exploiter. Yep, wall's closing in. Ready? Alright, I guess there's a fight coming. Let me know whenever to turn... should I turn on at the end of this chapter, Kami, or when should I? Just, you let me know, brother. I got it. He had short, brown beard and was none other than the sergeant who had dealt with the case of self-defense. You'll know. Keep reading. Sounds good. I think Jurgen mentioned his own name. Sergeant Faxine? Well, I can receive the 10-pound bail tomorrow or the next day. What's he doing here? Did MI9 send him to find Ian Wright? Or to inform me that I should temporarily hide away from danger? Confused, Klein grabbed the handle. Inside the Intes embassy of the Backland, Westboro, the lights were on, the scent of various perfumes and alcohol accompanied by melodious melodies stretched out to every corner. Exploiter sounds like the entrant. I think that would be Trafficker, DSV. I think that'd be Trafficker. A ball was being held. Whose balls? Sorry, dumb joke, but I can't help making it. During his years as an ambassador, Bakerland had often held balls at the embassy. That's how he became an ambassador, I guess. Inviting the kingdom's banker, big factory owners, philanthropists, and other well-known and rich people. Oh, shut up, devil. God. Random opportunities were also given to some of the low-ranking merchants. In this atmosphere, he would tell the guests about prosperity and openness of Trier, and how the Intes Republic was no longer dominated by the likes of nobles, bankers, factory owners, and lawyers. They directly and indirectly took over a large portion of the parliamentary seats, determining the direction of the government policies, enjoying true freedom and high statuses. Statuses? Status is... I think it would just be high status, but whatever. Today, Bakerland was doing the same thing. With a wine glass in hand, he flitted around the guests so as to prove he was present at the ball without leaving. They should have gotten the manuscript by now. After learning that Ian Wright had appeared at the telegraph office from the trembling detective, I've been putting plans into action. Now is the time to reap the rewards. Bakerland, with his thin but classy face, took a sip of blood-like Ormir wine and headed for the balcony, intending to take a deep breath of cool air. How cool would it be if he got assassinated like Hitman style? Like he just walked out to take a smoke, and then Agent 49 just sniped him, and he just went night night. Very simple, very easy. No need for a big drawn out fight. After learning that Ian had sent the telegram as a veteran conspiracist and professional intelligence officer, Bakerland was acutely aware that Ian was contacting his superior's superior. Therefore, he quickly made the double spy that had infiltrated the Fesak Empire's background intelligence team. 47? Yes, 47. Yes, you're right. Sorry. Investigate and obtain the meeting time, place, and manner agreed by Ian and the team leader. Yes, thank you guys. After that, he pretended that nothing had happened and continued to send people to look for Ian near Bacardi Street. He successfully found Ian and attracted the attention of MI9. According to his plans, his intelligence officer had deliberately let Ian go, so that MI9 who would think that they were on the same starting line. After paralyzing his main opponent, he called in other unexposed intelligence agents to ambush Ian and the Fesak Empire's team leader. He wanted to interrupt the manuscript and smuggle it out of the Lone Kingdom without being detected by MI9. The situation had progressed as smoothly as he expected, but the news that came back in the evening left his heart heavy. People from MI9 had actually appeared. Hitman Rambo? Interesting. They had appeared despite being supposedly fooled. With Rosego around, it's definitely not because of divination. Besides, MI9 isn't good at divination at all. They must have a spy amongst our ranks. Let's hope that Rosego can be one step ahead of them and grab the manuscripts and hand it over to Shadow for extraction. Bakerland had deliberately organized the ball in order to avoid suspicion, but as such, he was unable to involve himself with the developments. All he could do was pray that his subordinates would amount to something. Conspirers always conspiring. I don't know. Seer always seer. According to his plans, once Rosego succeeded, he would immediately transfer the items to another intelligence officer, one that had never been activated before. Then Rosego would lure MI9 away and create some trouble, keeping them out of sight and distract them from his partner during the process. Bakerling requested Rosego to kill the detective while he was at it. If it wasn't for him, no one from MI9 would have known about it. Everything would have gone smoothly. His involvement with this Monger gang wouldn't have been revealed, and I wouldn't have been transferred back to the country. He didn't actually run away, thinking that MI9 would keep protecting him, and that staying at home is safer than running away. Bakerland rubbed his face. Pleasure, always a pleasure to have. Okay, guys, alright. He had already received orders that after the operation regarding the manuscript had been completed, he would hand all intelligence matters to the highest-ranking military officer at the embassy and await the arrival of the new ambassador. Bakerland was rather reluctant to part with Backland. Despite the bad weather and heavy pollution, it was one of the most prosperous cities in the world. Besides, the ladies here are more conservative, unlike those sluts back home. Slowly seducing them into bed and removing their restraints bit by bit is very satisfying and a fascinating achievement. Unfortunately, I have to bid farewell to these beautiful ladies, Bakerland thought gloomily, and he felt more and more resentful of the detective who dared to put up a resistance. As for Rosego's own safety, Bakerland wasn't worried at all. He believed that as long as Rosego wanted to, as long as he wasn't targeted by a high sequence beyonder, he would be able to escape immediately. That's because Rosego had special beyonder powers. As he lost himself in thought, Bakerland's eyes lit up. He saw a young lady in a crimson dress standing at the edge of the balcony with a glass of wine in her hand. She had a pretty face and a gentle temperament. Her hair was ink black and luxuriant. Her light brown eyes seemed to speak volumes. Bakerland went over at once and began to chat with her. He learned that she was the daughter of a timber merchant named Eileen. and that her father wasn't very rich and was trying to make his way up the ranks. Lawyers always scam. Help you, help you. Criminals always criminal. Intis people always freaks. Spectator always spectate. Prisoner always prison. With his status as Intis ambassador, Bakerland quickly received Eileen's affection. After sharing 2 dances, their body became more intimate. Beautiful lady, I'd like to invite you to my room to sample some Ormir wine of 1286. All right, replied the lady without any hesitation. Bodyguards always guard the body. The two of them left the ballroom and waited silently and secretly went to the second floor. They entered Bakerland's room and ordered the guards to stay away from them so as to not disturb them. Before the so-called Ormir wine of 1286 appeared, Bakerland had passionately brought Eileen to the bed. While romping around in bed, Eileen's simple skirt became undone. Alright, I'm not reading all this shit. While her hands gripped Bakerland's shoulders, her nails and veins suddenly sprouted back, thin, fluffy spider feet. Eileen's eyes suddenly bulged out as white foam poured out of her eyes. Bakerland retracted the fist that he used to hit her abdomen and stood up from the bed. He no longer had the hasty actions from before and instead wore a cold expression. Who sent you? Yes. That would about make sense for the change. Thank you. Let me know if it gets too loud at any point, okay? Eileen attempted to stand up, but the pain was too much to bear. Her eyes were filled with shock and fear. Seeing the expression on the girl's face, Bakerland smiled and said, "It's true I'm into beautiful ladies. But I know this is a problem, so every time I meet a lady, I'm very careful. Speak. Who sent you? Don't bother resisting. I'm very good at using fire." Eileen clamped her mouth shut and angrily looked at the thin, smiling line of the ambassador with a touch of terror. Bakerland stretched out his hand, which was covered in plume orange flames that danced around silently. Oh, so he's a pyromancer? Is that it? Is that the name? Where's that? Hunter? Nope. Hunter sequence. 7 pyromaniac and do I know sequence 6? Yes, pyromaniac. I don't think I know 6 yet. Oh, conspirer. Is that it? Is that sequence 6? Do I know this? Okay, I do know this. He is sequence 6 conspirer. Yes, I do know this. Okay, sorry, because I have sequence 6 written down, and then I just never wrote their name down for some reason. So I was like, do I know this or am I losing my mind? I'm sorry. God. Fireball. You just have 0 mana and you just spam fireball. He took 2 steps forward, making a gesture as if he was pressing his palm against Eileen's skin. This made Eileen think of the description in many novels in which cruel interrogators would use red-hot irons to brand their target's body, bringing out an extremely painful experience. No, I can't be that brutal to such a beautiful lady. Bakerland suddenly stopped and chuckled. He shook suddenly, turning the flame orange into a long red whip. The long whip ignited the air around it, which took on the form of thorns. Bakerland lashed his flaming whip at Eileen, burning her clothes and leaving a dark mark on her skin. Her face contorted as she screamed. Fire whip! Who sent you? Bakerland asked again. It was... Eileen's lips quivered. As Bakerland subconsciously listened for the answer, his eyes suddenly turned bloodshot. Oh no, he jerked back and rolled onto the ground. In a spot where he had been standing, a flame rose up and formed a wall of fire. Wall of fire! Splat, splat, splat. Rain like blood and flesh splattered against the wall and produced sizzling sounds. Some of them penetrated the fire, leaving a thin trail of blood on the ground. At the end of this path was the Intis Republic Bakerland, who stood up once again. He saw that Eileen's abdomen had been torn open and 2 arms wrapped in viscous liquid were sticking out from the inside. This turned into a D&D fight. Yep, yes sir. Okay, now it logically feels like it's the... I think it's the ambassador's turn again, because I think she used all of her action points. With a sudden push of his arms, a figure drilled its way from the belly of the beautiful Eileen. It was covered in thick, squirming red liquid that continuously dripped down. It was about the size of an adult male. It was hard to imagine that a normal woman like Eileen with no protrusion in her abdomen would have such a thing hidden in her. How was it stored? The body below Eileen's head exploded completely, turning into pure flesh and blood, surging into the form of a humanoid figure and mixing with the dripping liquid to turn into a strange red robe. The figure revealed its true appearance. It was so beautiful that it looked like a woman. The blood-red robe it wore was like a blossoming flower under the illumination of flames, a rose bishop. As a veteran intelligence officer, Bakeland immediately identified the name of the corresponding sequence before him. Sequence 6 of the secret suppliant pathway, Rose Bishop. Every Rose Bishop was an expert when it came to flesh and blood magic. Beyonders at this sequence could hide inside the bodies of others, thereby avoiding all sorts of investigation. Hold the fucking phone. I gotta write that description in. Can manipulate flesh and blood. Okay. But the moment they emerged, the host would lose their lives. For the Lord! Eileen's remaining head let out a cry and closed her eyes forever. The Rose Bishop stretched out its right hand and trapped its chest 4 times at the bottom to top, left to right. With the color of blood and the light flame reflecting in his eyes, he looked at Bakerland and suddenly took a step forward with his right foot, passing through the wall of fire. He didn't receive any damage from the flames, with only dark red liquid that continuously dropped. Bakerland retreated again as he raised his voice. "Someone help me!" Although his most capable assistant Rosigo and several intelligence agents had been sent on a mission, there was still no lack of Beyonders in the embassy. They were military officials who received permission from the Lone Kingdom. They were the defensive forces that were available. A Sequence 5, a Sequence 6, 3 Sequence 7s, and a combination of nearly 10 Sequence 8s and 9s. Bakerland's voice echoed in the room but didn't exit the premise. The music outside didn't stop and the ball continued. It was as though the room had become a completely isolated world. "This," Bakerland shouted, narrowing his eyes. The Rose Bishop was in no hurry, he said with a chuckle. "It was by your own will, the rules that you decided by yourself. You told the guards not to disturb you or come near, or let anyone else close. Yes, I simply magnified your will and rules and made a slight distortion. If you want to escape the isolation, you have to defeat yourself." Bakerland's expression changed. What appeared to be the compliance of rules was in fact a distortion of them. The characteristic of using power of authority to serve oneself made him think of another sequence name, Baron of Corruption. This was the lawyer pathway, which was Sequence 6 of the Black Emperor pathway. Hold on. I know corruption. Beyond our pathway of the Black Emperor, unknown sequence numbers, corruption. Now known as sequence 6. So hold on. So corruption, confusion, fallen, and disorder are all of the lawyer pathway. Now this is known too. Cool, interesting. I can add that. So you're telling me the Black Emperor pathway is the lawyer pathway? Like the Black Emperor, who's supposed to be this fucking menacing figure, is actually started off as a lawyer? What a fucking disappointment. Distortion of rules. Using the power of authority to serve one's self. Okay, let me copy this onto the lawyer pathway now that that is known. Okay, dope. Look at that. We're making progress. We're finally getting to the point that some of... not what I want to do. Piss off. We're finally getting to the point where more information is actually simplifying things and not complicating it. Magnifying. Lawyer, my favorite pathway. Don't estimate the corruption of a lawyer. We told you lawyer is goated. And magnifying? Maybe. Maybe. That does sound pretty fucking cool. Baron of Corruption, Bakerland growled. Before he could finish his sentence, his face suddenly turned gloomy as he blurted out, "Shepherd, you're a shepherd. Who are you from the Aurora Order, Mr. A? Why are you assassinating me?" The Rose Bishop? No, you don't need to know who I am. Accept the Lord's blessing. Chris, it's awesome, dude. I've read on stream, I want to say like 200 chapters in like a month and maybe 5 weeks, something like that. Like so much. It's so fucking cool. It's so good. The ending of volume 1 is phenomenal. I can't praise it enough. It was so good. Anime ways. You don't need to know who I am. Accept the Lord's blessing. This and Boom 2 are my favorite series. Yeah. And Book 2 are my favorite series I've ever read. That's awesome, man. I've heard very mixed reviews about COI, though. Some people seem to really like it. Some seem to love it. From what I understand, the ending is kind of hit or miss for people. I don't know. Obviously, I'm still really early in, so I don't know. His body suddenly stiffened before he could finish his sentence. It was as though his joints were covered in rust, and he seemed to have turned into a puppet. Bakerland laughed rapturously. The gloominess from before disappeared in an instant. He took out a white handkerchief from his left breast pocket and wiped the corners of his mouth. "I'm glad you were able to chat with me for so long. It gave me enough time." The white handkerchief was taken away. A thumb-sized head appeared from his left breast pocket. It was the head of a puppet with completely black eyes. The shepherd opened his mouth and was about to speak when he heard a hollow voice. "You." After pausing, his body suddenly burgeoned and his skin turned dark. 2 curved goat horns with strange sinister patterns sprouted from his head, as well as the wings on his back that reeked of sulfur when they flapped. The shepherd instantly moved 3 meters forward, having transformed into a devil-like creature. What the fuck is happening here? What is this fight? Mixed reviews because people don't like the one that I made. Yes, Justin, I will give you my own opinions on COI in 7 years. But even so, it was as if every one of his joints was firmly shackled. His movements were stiff and slow, without further thoughts, and his thoughts were starting to blur. "You still have the power of a devil? As expected of a shepherd. Let me send you to your lord." Without further ado, a flaming long spear and a blazing white tip materialized into the middle of Bakerland's right palm. He bent his back, about to throw the spear to pin the shepherd to the wall and burn him to ash. Sequence 7, Pyromaniac of the Conspirer pathway, had an ancient name, Fire Mage. Yeah, that's what Pyromaniac means. What are you talking about? Pyromancer literally means Fire Mage. Pyromaniac just means like crazy fire mage. Like it's the same thing. Take you 7 years. It'll probably even take you a year to finish book 1. By my calculation, it should be like 6 or 7 months, assuming I'm streaming all of it. Fire spear. Dude, Josh, I love that. Please stick around for any fight sequences and just do that forever. At that moment, Bakerland began to cough violently, coughing so hard that he felt as though he was about to spit out his heart and lung. His flaming spear lost control and his coughing disappeared. Inch by inch, his face flushed red and his forehead was scorching hot from a coughing fit. His influence on his enemy that he derived from a mystical item was lifted. The shepherd was freed from his sluggishness and returned to normal. Why do you think I was having such a long chat with you? How does severe pneumonia and unstoppable cough sound? The devilish face asked around the corners of his mouth. Asked with the corners of its mouth hooked. Upon hearing these words, Bakerland suddenly recalled the enemy's beautiful and enchanting appearance when he first appeared. And said regretfully, a disease. You killed a demoness of affliction. The shepherd dispelled his devil-like form from his figure and turned into a series of stacked after-images. No, I only received a gift from Saint Tenebruous. A demoness of affliction. Is that another sequence in the demoness pathway? Hold on, for fuck's sakes, not what I meant to do. Because the demoness pathway, 6 is demoness of pleasure. So is a demoness of affliction somewhere else on here? Demoness of affliction. Maybe 5, not sure of number. Thank you guys. But it took easy 6 months to approach the end of volume 2. You'll finish the entire book in the same time. Maybe, yeah. Maybe. I know conspirers have all sorts of means available to them, so I'll be using my strongest ability now so that you won't have any unnecessary hope. A book appeared in front of him, a translucent and illusory book. The ancient book flipped rapidly and said a soft chant. I came, I saw, I record. This reminds me of the... was it Caesar or Alexander? I think it was Alexander who said this. I think it was like Veni Vidi Vici. It was, I came, I saw, I conquered. So I don't know what I saw, I record is, but... as long as I have recorded it, I'll be able to use it once. This is an ability of the Saint Tenebruous had deliberately demonstrated to me. Although I only have half its original effect, it's still enough. The shepherd's voice turned hollow and his body was enveloped in darkness that spewed out from blood. Caesar, yes. Thank you, DSV. He quickly turned into a small giant. 2.3, 2.4 meters. How tall is that? How much is that in freedom measurements? That is 7 feet 5. That is crazy. Holy shit. His entire body was covered in a cold black armor. As the space where his eyes should be, there was 2 glowing crimson red blobs. The dark knight raised his broadsword in his hand, took a step forward, and delivered an unrelenting chop. Okay. If this is a fridge height. Okay. Hear me out. Whatever this thing is, the ability to turn into a the black swordsman, if this is a Beyonder power and not a spell, whatever Beyonder pathway gives me that power, this is my favorite one. I don't care. I don't care if it's the assassin one. Whatever it takes for me to become Guts from Berserk. Whatever it takes, okay? If it's a spell, I don't want it, because spells are for losers. We're not mages. But if it's a Beyonder power, then do you understand why Secret Suppliant is this peak? That's true. Yeah, you can just get a bit of everything. As Bakerland tragically screamed, the layers of flame that gushed out of his body were pulled apart. All sorts of light exploded and were split open, as his body was split in two halves. Dude, I don't care what anyone says. Whatever it takes for me to become Guts. Okay? I don't care. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to go through what Guts went through, but I'll take the rest of it. It's part of a... As Bakerland fell to the ground. No blood came out of his massive wound. Even his soul seemed to be corroded and destroyed by the black sword that didn't seem to exist. Secret Suppliant is peak pathway. It's really fucking cool. Like, you just get to be everything. I mean, that's how do you say no to that, right? My phone's about to fucking explode. Hold on. Occasionally, I'll charge my phone with the charger that I use for my MacBook. It charges really fast. Between when I started the stream and now, it's at 94%. I was at like 4% when I started, but it gets so hot it feels like it's about to fucking explode after a while. That's the risk I run. The plumes of fire that spewed out of Bacon's body lost control, causing the blast that shook the room and sent glass rattling, and at the moment the isolation that had been created by his own will vanished with his death. The shepherd didn't stop, nor did he wait for the Beyonder characteristic to appear. He restored the inconspicuous appearance, seized the opportunity before the military officials arrived, and sprinted to the layers of the wall into the darkness outside. Based. Okay, dude, Mr. A is fucking goated. What the fuck? No wonder no one ever tries to scam this dude. You'd get fucked. At 15 Minsk Street, Klein paused with his right hand on the handle. He decided to throw a coin before opening. Since Ian had already come, the revelation that he had seen in his dream already happened. That meant the danger could happen at any moment. While muttering the words, "The visitor outside will bring danger," he flipped the coin with the number side facing up. "Negative," Klein muttered. However, he didn't let his guard down. He knew there was a mid-sequence Beyonder of the same pathway on the ambassador's side who could interfere with his divination. If it was that person, it would be normal for him to get the wrong result. It's a pity I don't have time to investigate from above the grey fog. Klein looked through the door for a moment with his spirit vision. Realizing nothing was amiss, he opened the door and took 2 steps back. Dressed in black and white checkered uniform, Sergeant Faxine took off his hat and said, "I've been sent by the higher-ups to tell you, you must be careful tonight and tomorrow. Be careful of strangers." Sergeant Faxine, you're a stranger, bro. 250. Mystery Priors, you know there's certain pathways better for me because of my goat, right? All pathways are peak except for the Mystery Prior because that's just scuffed as hell. You dissing old Neil. I'm dissing the Hidden Sage. It makes it so hard to progress. Maybe. Alright. Do we want to stop at 253 or is it okay if we continue a little bit longer? Because I don't... no one's at home, so I got plenty of time and I feel pretty good, so we can continue on. But if there's like a good... If that's like a good place to stop and there's no good other place to stop for a while after that, then I can just stop there. So you guys let me know. Continue, it's fine. Fantastic. All right, then we'll keep pushing. We'll try to get to like 255 maybe or some shit. Who knows? Just push hard. We're here. I think we're having a good time. I feel pretty good. I might stop midway through to grab some more tea, but I'm good beyond that. Yes, I drink the tea, but only the tea that username recommended. It's good. It's good. It doesn't taste great, let me be clear, but it's good for my throat. It lets me talk. All right, Klein nodded solemnly. Am I good to turn on other music now? Or should I keep that running? Is there going to be? Should I anticipate another fight? What are we thinking? Kami, come through. I'm gonna just restart it for the moment, and then if it's not needed, then I can change it later. No problem. Oh well, I guess we still have to have the fight. No. I guess we still have to have the fight between the Sequence 5 Beyonder. I doubt that motherfucker's just running away, so fuck it. All right, Klein nodded. Sergeant Faxine touched his short hair and said, "There are other arrangements. I'll explain them to you in detail and you can decide on your own." He cast his gaze towards the living room. Klein made a polite gesture of invitation, then watched the sergeant close the door, walk over to the sofa and sit down. What are your plans? I said we finish volume 2 today? When does it end? What is it, like 3:30 or some... 3:80 or some shit? Fuck that. 3:30? I don't know. I just know volume 2 is relatively long. And fuck that if I'm doing all that, alright? Actually, it might even... 480, fuck! No! Fuck. Yeah, so, okay. Hold on. So, I'm at 250, so I need to read 230 chapters. There is between now, and you said finish it today. So today for me is 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours is 180, 210 minutes. But by 210 minutes. I have 1 minute and 6 seconds per chapter. This is how long. This is me finishing a chapter here. You ready? Great chapter. Next one. Like, that's what I'm gonna have to pull here. I'm gonna have to pull some LeBron level shit. What are you talking about? Oh my god. Just another 2:30 bathroom break. I guess, and straight to the end. What are your plans? Klein kept his coat on, his hand still in his pocket. You should be well aware that you have offended the ambassador. Tonight or tomorrow will be the most dangerous period for you. But it's really enjoyable. Good stuff. That's good to hear, Milosh. No, I've really been enjoying it. Everything feels great so far. I've never had a moment where a chapter might be slow, and that's obviously fine. But I've never had 5 chapters where I'm like, I don't know. This is too much. I say you have 10 4 chapters. The higher-ups have given you 3 choices. The first is to go to the Holy Cathedral for 2 days. I know you're a believer of steam and machinery, but St. Ireland Cathedral's too far away. It's easy for trouble to arise on the way. Klein nodded indiscernibly and waited for the sergeant to give him a second choice. Suddenly, his vision blurred and his head went numb, as if there was a layer of thick glass around him. He felt the Sergeant Faxine opening and closing of his mouth was slowing down. He noticed the thoughts had become sluggish. The feeling was similar to the puppet of the Antigonus family, 249. Back then, he suddenly repeated... hold on. Back then, he was repeatedly affected in similar ways and had been awakened by Captain Dunn and the others. To ensure that the others could detect any abnormalities in a timely manner, they kept stretching and retracting their arms. The Antigonus family holds the seer pathway. This person's ability is similar to that of the Antigonus family puppet. He's a mid-sequence Beyonder of the seer pathway. As expected, it's him. Klein came to his senses, but there was no Dunsmith to wake him. Damn, my goat. Oh, 10 seconds per chapter. I see. Okay. Alright, so in that case, you guys ready? Great chapter. Love that. The muscles on Officer Faxine's face started squirming. Soon, the gentleman with black hair and blue eyes, he had a handsome face and tiny stubble. He said with a smile, "Given time, this is one of the most difficult abilities to deal with for anyone that is a high sequence Beyonder." As he spoke, Klein saw images of a woman in a black regal dress appear in the glass of the oriel window. This little fucking shit. This fucking what do you call it? Lieutenant, I guess, is the Beyonder. What? Volume 1 hooks you, 2 keeps you around, 3 kidnaps you, 4 tortures you, 5 breaks your mind, 6 kills you. What about 7, 8, 9? Are those in the afterlife? What's happening? What are we talking about? She walked slowly and stiffly out of the glass. The blonde hair, her delicate face, and pale face made her seem more like a doll than a person. I never thought that you would be able to hire such a powerful bodyguard. If it wasn't for my divination ahead of time, I might have died here. What kind of compensation did he pay? By the way, my name's Rosego. Rosego didn't look back as he continued smiling at Klein, but didn't expect a fluent answer from the man he controlled. At that moment, he felt a sudden cold breeze blow across his neck, causing his hair to stand on end. As goosebumps appeared all over his body, there was an invisible person at his back, breathing down his neck. Rosego laughed, raised his left hand, and snapped his fingers. Flames suddenly soared from his back, and the transparent shadow was set ablaze, quickly turning to ash. In Klein's vision, these motions were all broken down into a grid of images. This wasn't because his opponent had turned slow, but as a result of increasingly sluggish thoughts. Interesting. So the person behind him is Pyromaniac again? What's up with the flames? He already has me under control. Why isn't he just killing me? Do all villains like to engage in lengthy monologues? No, he's not stupid. He's trying to hide something with this discussion. Klein tried to think to figure out the problem, but his thoughts were moving at an irresistibly slow pace. He looked intently at Rosego, taking in every detail. Finally, he saw a figure in each of Rosego's eyes. A figure with blonde hair, blue eyes, and a pale face, and a dark black gothic regal dress. At that moment, the woman was still behind Rosego. She was still near the oriel window, walking towards him like a manipulated puppet. 7 revives you. 8 makes you live. Interesting. 8 makes you dream about living. Ah. A lot of pathways can play with flames. Fair enough. He hasn't really controlled her yet. She's still trying to resist and struggle. They're tussling in the realm of mystery. I need to do something to tip the scales. Klein turned his attention to the language of foulness he was holding. It was cold and slippery and filled with evil. He was glad that he hadn't let his guard down and maintained a battle-ready state the entire time. He could only injure himself to injure his opponent. Klein gathered his strength and struggled to speak. He hoarsely said in ancient Hermes, "Foulness." As the voice echoed in the air, Klein felt a corrosive pain in his left palm, as he heard illusory whispers that could drive a person mad. This was a state he was familiar with, and it didn't attempt his subsequent attempts. The attempt was to inject most of his spirituality into the charm, which didn't require the control of his body. In 3 seconds, the voice of the true creator would descend upon the physical world and burrow into the ears of creatures closest to him. 3. The prelude, the din, the illusory whispers spread out in an instant. Klein felt his scalp tingle, his mind abuzz, his veins throbbing. He found it difficult to focus his mind. A coffee table away from him, Rosego's expression suddenly turned adrift. His face swelled up as the woman's figure in his eyes suddenly became clearer. 2. The pale woman in the black dress behind him quickened her actions, but soon she frowned in pain. At this moment, he felt the weakening of the influence as he wished, regaining his smooth thought process as he felt as though his joints were once again filled with lubricant. He experienced ravings all the time. He endured the madness and pain, quickly pulling out and throwing the language of foulness from his left palm at Rosego. 1. The iron-black charm with its many symbols and sinister-looking patterns melted. Rosego had gained some of his composure and was trying to leap to the side as he saw the rich darkness and heard the murmurs that contained immense knowledge and extreme madness. No human was able to describe such a sound. All of the veins in Rosego's head protruded as though they were about to explode. He tumbled to the ground, writhing and struggling as his skin ruptured inch by inch, revealing the flesh underneath. At the same time, Klein and the blonde woman with blue eyes also failed to resist the pain as they fell to the ground. Each of them let out tragic screams. Excruciating pain felt like someone had stabbed their temples with a drill rod. Their eyes turned bloodshot as red liquid ran down their noses. They could neither see nor feel the outside world. The experienced Klein was the first to recover. He staggered to his feet and saw Rosego had torn off his clothes and stripped his skin, exposing his flesh and veins. Jesus. He was a legendary red monster that had been skinned. Sorry, he was like a legendary red monster that had been skinned. He constantly tumbled around on the ground, writhing in pain, as though he was about to lose control. Klein didn't wait for the result. He couldn't afford the possibility of another party gaining the benefits, as well as becoming a devotee of the true creator. He believed the evil god was infuriated as well. Yeah, Ramiro has clearly lost control. Someone take away his mod powers. Holy shit. What you do when your god is a worse rapper than Lil Pump. Slideshow, perhaps? Oh my god, no. We can't be pulling out the T-bait anime, okay? We can't. No, that's not happening. Pulling out his revolver and adjusting the barrel to fire, Klein took 2 steps forward, circled the coffee table, and put the muzzle of his gun against Rosego's head. And shot him 5 times? Bro. How is Klein going to explain that he killed a lieutenant? Dressed in his black double-breasted suit, he stared at the enemy intently as he shot 5 rounds in a row, watching his head swell and explode into a mixture of red, white, and black that splattered all over the floor. Can't wait for the anime. I know, I'm so excited. Captain, thank you for demonstrating this to me. Klein panted while he lowered his revolver before he beamed brightly. In front of him, Rosego's headless corpse faltered a little before collapsing to the side of the sofa. Rosego top 5 frauds. Dude, he did so good. You can't... How do you fight against the MC? What the fuck? Only then did the woman in black regal dress stop her screams. Her struggles and rolling slowed down, but her skin seemed a lot more translucent. Seeing the flesh of Rosego's corpse squirm, Klein didn't hesitate to use his self-created Requiem charm. Under the calm and serene atmosphere, the corpse finally stopped moving. Upon seeing this, Klein thought of something and took out another charm and shouted, "Crimson." He then injected some of his spirituality and threw the charm at the guard. The woman in the pale golden hair and pale white face. Wait. And threw this charm at his bodyguard? Why? As the slumbering power emanated, the woman, who was still weakened under the effect of a lingering voice, suddenly quieted down as she fell into a deep slumber. Oh, it's just to put her to sleep. Just to be sure, Klein threw another slumber charm, afraid that he would be interrupted by what he was planning to do next. Wait, hold on. Rosego is a top 5 fraud. Got beaten by Sequence 8. Okay, he technically got beat by a Sequence 8, but he also had a Sequence 5 who was coming up behind him. He had a fucking god charm. Like, come on, give him some credit. Listen, I get it. You want to call him a bum? I'm here for it. But he ain't a fraud. Plus, you gotta remember, he's attacking, which means Klein has home court advantage too. You gotta... It's a lot of stuff against him, in fairness. Come on. 15 Minsk Street once again regained its peace. This time nothing was broken. Only the ground was contaminated, as the fight between the 3 parties was mystical and beyond the physical realm. Looking at Rosego's corpse and then at his sleepless bodyguard, Klein mocked. It's also good to court death often. At least I gained some immunity. How do you bear gray fog? Sorry, I don't get that. Sorry, I don't get what you mean. He has a female ghost bodyguard? True, exactly. Courting death? Yeah. What's the... This is from John Wick, but I like this quote. Those who cling to life die. Those who cling to death live. He didn't attempt the mediumship ritual immediately because Rosego was now tainted by the true creator, and communicating with the spirit was tantamount to committing suicide. But that didn't mean Klein had no choice. He planned on doing the ritual above the grey fog by bringing Rosego with him. With his current spirit body's level and the augmentation provided by Copper's Azek whistle, he was unable to move a portable camera, much less a corpse that was several times heavier. But the mediumship ritual wasn't done with a corpse, but with the channeling of a remnant spirituality. Klein took out a candle, quickly set up a ritual ceremony, summoned himself, and responded, turning into a special spirit. After becoming a spirit, he saw the distinct remnants of Rosego's spirituality, and realized that his bodyguard's physical condition was a little strange. She was actually in a similar state as him, but there were great differences. Without wasting any time, Klein carried Azek's copper whistle, wrapped the remaining of Rosego's spirituality, and entered the Grey Fog. After conjuring the appropriate ritual items and setting up a simple altar, he began the ritual. During the process, he was shocked to discover that he no longer needed to pray to anyone to directly communicate with the spirit. It was like he was a real spirit medium. Is this a special power I possess because of this mysterious space above the Grey Fog? A thought flashed past Klein's mind as he began to recite. The potion formulas for the seer pathway. Formulas? Is he gonna get several? Oh, that'd be dope as fuck. Should have talked about their ships. Bro, I don't have any yet. 251 gains. Let's go. Alright, guys. Give me 2 minutes. I'm just gonna run to the bathroom, and I'm also gonna grab some more coffee. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Yeah. Me who only ships Klein and money. That's a good one. That one never goes out of style, Romero. That one never goes out of style. I'll be right back, guys. Give me 2 minutes, okay? We are back. All right, that wasn't too long. I don't think. What was I gone for? I don't know. All right, we're back. Sorry, what are we talking about? You don't ship 4s in Geo? No. We're back. If Cuttlefish one day comes out and says 4 Geo legit, I wouldn't even blink. Yes, that's a good call, Connie. God, I'm in love with the Lies of POST, man. It's so good. What the fuck?
Close your eyes.
Okay.
Come to me.
Klein leaned back in his chair and tried to communicate with the spirit via dream divination. In the illusory grey world that didn't seem surreal, a gas lamp lit up, illuminating the stone slab on the ground and a desk with a goatskin scroll placed on top of it. After the seer and clown potion formulas appeared next to another, Rosego stood up with a fur shirt, listening to a voice of unknown origin. Before the advancement, I have to warn you, you've been too reliant on divination. Divination is a revelation, a result. It is unable to tell you the process. For example, you may decide to invest all your money because divination says a railway stock can make money. But in fact, when the divination really means that in the long run, in 30 years, the railway stock will make money. But before that, it will fall more than it rises. You know how dads put... Okay, Milos. Alright. Fate isn't so easy to master, and there are many times when it is impossible to quantify. Divination isn't all-powerful. We know this. Old man Neil told us this. In addition, divination can be interfered with and cause you to be misled. There are too many things in this world that can't be understood. If you completely rely on divination, you'll die because of it. Divination is a revelation, and it must be combined with one's own carefulness, caution, and self-control. That's why Klein is so good as a seer. There it is, yeah, 4 foot 10, yeah. Rosego was unable to divine the corresponding danger because the language of foulness was involved with the mysterious space above the grey fog that led him to die by my hands. Otherwise, with his mystical abilities, it would have been difficult for his bodyguard and I to escape today. That's also a reminder for me. Even if I have the grey fog to isolate all interferences, I can't afford to be careless. No matter how certain my actions are, I need to leave some leeway. From these words, it seems like they aren't aware of the acting method. Otherwise, some of those words could be directly summed up as being respectful and fearful of fate. As thoughts raced, Klein heard Rosego's reply as he unfurled the parchment. Sequence 7, Magician. Let's go. So he's gonna get access to spells. Does this motherfucker ever become physically strong and capable? Like, I mean, Clown kind of does that, but it's much more for, like, agility than strength. I'd like him to eventually get some physical strength too. But hey, this is great for now. All right, where's it? Sequence 7. Oh, we actually already know this. Able to cast spells in quick succession, fuse one's body and supernatural powers is 1. Interesting. Okay, I already knew this. Never mind. Magician. Cool. Supplementary ingredients, whatever. 60 milliliters of water, mist treant's juice, 3 grams of droplet gem powder, 4 drops of fantasy grass essential oils. The Curse of Short Men? Of a rhetorical question? What happened? The music's a little overpowering. Sorry about that. the music has like such a big range between it. It's hard to it's hard to know like what's a good split, because I want it to be audible when it's really quiet, but not overpower when it's too loud. It's kind of a weird balancing act. Maybe there's a way. I'll try to see if this is possible in the future to set up a limiter in OBS. Maybe that's possible. Oh, there is a limiter. Very good. Okay, so I need to figure out what a good what that looks like, and then I can adjust that, and then I can adjust that. I'll do a stream for me later to try to figure that out. Unhinged, how's it going, man? Magician. This is also a part of a circus. It can form the foundation of a circus with seers and clown. Clown first lampooned before he recalled the suited clown that he encountered before. From the looks of it, he was a magician. His abilities seem to include the ability to cast air bullets, making flaming jumps, and drawing slips of paper as weapons. Not bad. Being able to cast spells can greatly increase my battle prowess. My family and I just spent the day at the lake. Oh, that sounds nice, Unhinged. As these thoughts flashed past Klein's mind, he saw the scene before him change. This time it was a splendid room surrounded by golden statues and ornaments. It was the same voice as before, but it reminded Rosego of the same. According to my experience, after you consume the Faceless potion, you have to remember this point. You can disguise yourself to anyone, but ultimately you are yourself. Sequence 5, Faceless. Whoa! Now the name of Volume 2 makes sense. Faceless. Cool. Sequence 5, Faceless. Oh, 6. Sorry, counting. What, how hard? Sorry. Sorry, everybody. Counting is hard. God. Faceless. Sequence 6 of the Seer pathway is Faceless. This should be the Beyonder power that allowed Rosego to transform into Officer Vaccine. Oh, I see. Okay, so it wasn't the officer that he killed. From the looks of it, the fake detective Zariel was also played by him. Creeping Hunger allowed the Rear Admiral to transform into a person with different looks. This matches this Beyonder power. From the looks of it, some Faceless died at his hands. Such a power can't augment a person in a straight-up battle, but it's more useful than 90% of Beyonder powers on many occasions. It's no wonder that Rosego dared to come up and attempt to kill me and wasn't afraid of falling into a trap. This power is of great significance to me. Yeah, especially you, who's supposed to be dead. Sequence 6, Faceless. Main ingredients: mutated pituitary gland of 1,000-faced hunter. What the fuck is that? Characteristic of a human-skinned shadow. Supplementary ingredients. All that bullshit. 1,000-faced hunter, that seems to be a type of dragon. Not a particularly powerful kind. It shouldn't be a dragon of the spiritual system, but it's still extraordinarily rare. Almost extinct. Klein instantly recalled the corresponding mysticism knowledge. At this point, the scene before him didn't change, but Rosego's attire and location did. He wore a white wig, a dark tuxedo, and a thick beard. Oh my god, is he gonna get sequence 5? Oh, that'd be dope as fuck. This advancement is no longer as simple as before. The potion must be consumed in conjunction with a ritual. If you succeed, you'll obtain one of the most irresistible Beyonder powers beneath that of a higher sequence Beyonder. The speaker's voice had changed, turning into one that sounded even older. What's the ritual? Go to the sea, find a mermaid, and drink the potion while she's singing. The speaking old man opened an ancient book and depicted countless mysterious symbols. Suddenly, a ray of light flashed before the book's surface as the line of ancient Hermes appeared in midair. Sequence 5, Marionettist. Oh my god, lore drop galore here. What the fuck? Marionettist. What is that? puppeteer who controls a marionette. I see. I should have been able to, in theory, guess that, but by its root word. But I am, how you say, fucking stupid. Thank you, Kami. When Klein saw this, he suddenly had a headache. It was a signal that his spirituality was close to being drained. It's a mistranslation. It's supposed to be nimble right master. We do not hear the best translation word, nimble right master. Well, Hai Li tends to disagree with you guys. He said, thank God it's not that, so, you know. Truth be told, I don't understand what the big deal on different translations is. Like, why it's such a big deal, but I don't know. In the previous battle, just the language of foulness charm alone had consumed most of his spirituality. Later on, not only did he throw 3 more charms from the Evernight goddess, but also summoned himself to respond to himself. To hold out to now shows how much progress he's made compared to before, as well as the noticeable improvement in digesting the clown potion. The scene flickered and was on the brink of shattering. Klein held on and scanned the remaining contents. Dust of ancient wraiths, core of a 6-winged gargoyle, supplementary ingredients, spring water of Sonia Island's golden spring, 10 grams of Draco bark, remnant spirituality of an ancient wraith. What the fuck is happening here? 1 pair of eyes from a 6-winged gargoyle. Advanced ritual. Consumed a potion in the midst of a singing mermaid song. Ka-cha. Klein stopped holding out any longer as he allowed the dream to shatter into countless specks. He pinched his forehead, almost fainting. As the remnants of Rosego's spirituality and hints of madness faded away, he was pushed back into the real world by an invisible force. The ground stained with blood, brains, and hair, and all sorts of fragments. Klein entered Klein's vision. He bent over and retched a little, clearing his head. I'll be sent out of the mysterious space of the grey fog when I'm out of spirituality. Klein looked around and saw that Miss Bodyguard was still asleep. By the way, this tells me something. The fact that when he was out of spirituality, it said he was pushed out by an invisible force, tells me there's someone maybe in control of it. There's like a mastermind behind him having access to this. Maybe a god. He hurriedly extinguished the candle, tidied the items related to the ritual, and panted heavily. After a while, he regained some of his spirituality. At that moment, a gust of wind blew at the back of his neck, causing him to shiver as his mind froze. Klein turned his head abruptly and looked at the oriel window again. He saw that Miss Bodyguard in a black gothic regal dress had woken up and was floating in the air. Her pale blonde hair and pale face seemed to have diminished a little. Her entire person became less corporeal, to the point of her skin appearing somewhat transparent. Klein quickly explained according to the explanation he thought of. After I blew off his head, I discovered his body was still squirming. I was afraid he would come back to life. I used all my charms on him. I was very nervous and panicked. It might have affected you. This is probably the risk that a divination revealed earlier. If she's not satisfied and thinks I attacked her, then I'm finished. His true feelings made his performance even more perfect. Miss Bodyguard lowered her head and looked at herself, then asked in an unperturbed tone, what was the charm at the beginning? Marionettist. It makes me think, if we didn't get the earlier statement that the spectator pathway was similar to sequence 00, the holy shit, 008, I can't remember what they're called, fuck, I'm sorry. I would have thought it was that, because marionettist is like puppeteer, which means like controlling someone without them knowing they're being controlled. So maybe at like a higher level, he's able to, Quill, yes, thank you. He's able to counter that to a degree. I would assume it would be like being able to slowly, with words, being able to guide someone to do a thing, making them believe they did it, but doing it for your purposes or something like that. That's what I would assume. or maybe it's much more literal in this kind of thing that Madame Sharon was doing, like black invisible strings in the air or whatever that you can use to physically control someone. But that doesn't seem like it's the thing of a seer. A seer doesn't seem to be like, oh, I'm gonna physically control you. A seer seems much more back behind the shadows sort of thing. So I would think it's the former, not the latter. But again, that feels like it coincides too much with Spectator. I don't know how I feel. Yeah. Oh, yes. I bought a black ear at the gathering for £400. I was told I could hear the voice of great existences, and that if I was lucky, I would benefit greatly. If I was unlucky, I would die on the spot. Back then, if I couldn't get a bodyguard, since I was in such a rush, I could only take the gamble. The result was pretty good. When I heard the voice of the existence, the black ear shattered by itself and turned into such a charm. Miss Faceless is obvious, of course. Miss Bodyguard's blue eyes swept over him slowly. The room was silent. It was as if it was frozen. But how do you see it fit the seer pathway? Maybe he can. Maybe as a all right, Nightwalker. I appreciate you staying for this long, buddy. Hope you have a good nap or sleep. To just ignore me? Yes, I did. Unhinged. Yes, I did. Bitch. I got you now. How do I see it fitting the seer pathway? I would assume it would be like maybe as a consequence of being able to control everyone, you can also see the future sort of unfold in front of you, sort of like a game of chess. In the sense that if you can reasonably control the actions of others, you can also see how they're gonna react. And like a puppet master not only controls the puppets, but it also knows beforehand what the puppet's gonna do, because he plans out his thing in advance, right? Which feels like what a seer would do. Miss Bodyguard's blue eyes swept over him slowly. The room was silent as it was frozen. Finally, the lady in the black dress nodded. You better find a psychiatrist. Do you mean that I've become a potential lunatic? Yeah, she guessed that it was a relic of a listener, and she understands that Rosego's spirituality must have been tainted by the true creator. But she wouldn't suspect that I deliberately made her fall asleep to take the opportunity to perform a mediumship. It would also explain why I got rid of the effects of the ravings faster than her. After all, I'm a potential lunatic created by the true creator. Let's hurry up and clean the scene. MI9 want to come around and look around. He pointed at Rosego's headless body. As he spoke, Klein put on a pair of gloves and squatted down to look for any relics. He quickly found more than 10 pounds in cash, some essential oils and herbal powder, 2 crudely cut paper figurines, and a strange piece of paper. Wait, doesn't he also get his Beyonder characteristic? But what does a Beyonder characteristic of like a mid-sequence Beyonder entail? Interesting. I'm just hearing waves while I grind Wuthering Waves. I want to eventually get back into a gacha game later. I don't have any fucking time for it right now because I feel like my entire day is content creation. It's wild. Because at this point, I think I stream for like 5 or 6 hours a day. I then create a video, which takes like another 3. Man. This is it. This is my life now. Sorry. I don't mean to get all maniacal here. Alright. Man, I'm getting too white. This lake day ought to give me a good tan. Guess we'll find out. Yes, we will, Chris. Yeah, what does this Beyonder characteristic entail? I'm so curious. The piece of paper was orange in color, and on it were symbols corresponding to the sun. The magic emblem formed a blank triangle and was just holding it in one hand. He found it very warm and sedate. What is this? Klein didn't hide his puzzlement. Without him realizing it, Miss Bodyguard was already floating next to him. Do you enjoy your life? Yeah, I genuinely do. Don't get me wrong, I spend like so many hours a day content creating, but Like, it doesn't feel like work. Again, like for the stream that I'm doing right now, I was gonna read this anyway. This doesn't feel like, oh, like I have to go live at 7. Because it was like, oh, okay, well, the house is quiet. I'm gonna go read. I was gonna do that anyway. The fact that I'm doing it and talking with you guys is like an improvement as far as I'm concerned, because it's like I have someone to discuss with. If I need clarification, I have people to help me. This feels so fucking dope. And as for like content creation for like videos and stuff, generally my videos are stuff I just wanted to talk about. Like the video I posted this morning about the climber. I love talking about the climber. I could do that for hours for free. Love that, no problem. So like Alexa, what the fuck? Sorry, my Alexa just started talking. I don't have enough confidence on camera. Unhinged, the truth is the confidence comes as you do it, man. It's weird. You just gotta do it. You're gonna feel a little awkward. It's okay. Everyone does. You just gotta push through it. Main thing is just keep doing it. If you're interested. Yeah, if you want to. Definitely. Hold on. Without him realizing it, Miss Bodyguard was already floating next to him. She answered simply, a mystical object corresponding to a notary. A notary? Klein was surprised, but he soon remembered that Rosego was an intelligence officer in the Intis Republic. People there believe in EBS and the god of steam and machinery. Similarly, the eternal blazing sun was also the god of deeds. Is this the sequence 6 or 5 of the Bard pathway? If the notarization is valid, the Beyonder powers will be temporarily enhanced. If it's invalid, they'll be forcibly dispersed. She didn't give any further explanation and gave a rough description. Alright, that's going in the notes. Notary. God, what a dog shit name. Bard, did it say? What is it? Bard. Notary. 2B5. By the way, Bard is the one that the sun has, right? Just to confirm. That's the one that Derek has. Klein was about to say something when he saw the eerie glow emitting out of Rosego's headless body and brain mush. They attracted to form a blob that transformed into a black pupilless eye. Yes, thank you. Something worthless. Miss Bodyguard frowned. Worthless, Klein said with a frown. He actually understood what she meant. Normally, if Rosego eventually lost control, he would leave behind a strange and a terrifying artifact. If he didn't, his Beyonder characteristic could be used as a main ingredient of the marionette. In short, it would be of great value. But the problem was that he hadn't lost control, but was also tainted by the true creator. Hence, it became a potion's main ingredient branded by an evil god. Using it to concoct a marionettist potion was equivalent to committing suicide. Thank you. See, like that sort of stuff. Like, if I didn't know, according to my notes, I would have been like, I think it's probably the one that the sun has, and then just gone about my day. But like, I have people that I can ask. It's so fucking cool. Plus, again, I don't have that many friends that I can talk about anime with, or web novels or manga. The only one I really had was one of my friends who's now at a different university. So like, we talk, but we don't get to talk that much, right? It's just awesome. Just take the gift from the Lord. Dude, I would honestly just go to another city, be part of a Beyonder circle, put on a mask, sell it to someone for full price, and then leave. If that guy dies, that's on him, bro. Who knew? Oh, God, I'm a bad person. It has been contaminated by an evil god. It has no value anymore. If it really is of value, and one that's really valuable, I would even worry that you'd finish me off in passing. These are common spoils of war. We'll each pick a few. You first. Miss Bodyguard shot him a glance. Without a word, she floated over and took the notary's certificate. Just like I thought, in the future I should find and learn the knowledge of mysticism and remove an evil god's contamination. He bent down and picked up the black eye. The black eye, is that the thing? Oof, that's how you get hunted down. Or you wait until you're sequence 6 faceless, and then you do that. You change into someone, do that, and then change back. I don't care. The black eye is the Beyonder characteristic, right? Or is that something else? The corrupted characteristic, yes, thank you. Dude, I feel like Unhinged would be a nightmare just to fuck with people. He wouldn't even want the sleepless pathway because it's kind of dog shit so far. But he would just be a nightmare, so you could just bully people at night for free. Man, fuck. Sorry, I have a migraine. It's just killing me. As soon as Klein's fingers touched the black eye, he heard an illusory sound as the throbbing pain seared through his head. But at the same time, something strange appeared in his vision. There were countless illusory black threads that spread out from Miss Bodyguard and his own body. They emanated from their bodies out into the void towards some boundless distance. I'd be peak missionary for the Lord. Dude, you can't be a missionary for an evil god by definition, because you would be a heretic. Old Nealon Library. Oh, username. I don't know if you're here, but I just saw what you sent on Discord. That shit is dope as fuck. That nightmare potion getting digested in a week. As soon as Klein's fingers touched the black eye, he heard the illusory sounds as a throbbing pain seared through his head, but at the same time, something strange appeared in his vision. There were countless illusory black threads that spread out from his bodyguard and his own body. They emanated from their bodies out towards the endless void to some boundless distance. Oh, so yeah, there's like literal strings that maybe a marionettist can control, like physically control someone with. Ah. Now the Orthodox ones are heretics? Well, by definition they're not, but whatever. This was a scene that would horrify people with trichophobia. Trypophobia. What is trypophobia? Trypophobia is an aversion to the sight of repetitive patterns or clusters of small holes or bumps. Interesting. Klein gritted his teeth, unable to endure the corruptive feeling any longer as he placed the black eye into an iron cigar case. Everything restored to normal and the negative effects he suffered subsided. Only then did Klein have the energy to make a guess. Is that the essence of a marionettist Beyonder's power? Ability to see and control certain threads connecting every person's body and spirit. What a pity that it's contaminated. The side effects are too great and it can't be used as a mystical item. I'd be bullying. For now, disregarding an attempt to purify it above the fog, this will be considered the second time that I'm provoking the true creator, so it's very likely that he would prepare himself and seek me out. If that happens, I probably wouldn't have a chance of reviving again. I should learn and master the relevant knowledge before making a decision. He exhaled, and after Miss Bodyguard chose the crude paper figurine and corresponding materials, he bent down to pick up the 13 pounds 5 sola and 8 pence. Looking at Rosego's headless body and blood all over, he said with a slight headache, "Let's clean up the scene." The pale blonde Miss Bodyguard floated to the side and said, "Let me do it." "You?" Klein stopped and puzzled before turning his head. She floated to Rosego's side, crouched down, and went to lie over the body. She slowly sank and fused with the corpse. The fingers of Rosego's body twitched twice, and the blood and matter around it flowed backwards, forming a new head at the neck. What the fuck is she? However, the head was covered with countless cracks, like a disgusting toy made from tiny fragments. It was like glass that had been shattered but didn't crumble completely. There was still blood and matter flowing inside it, as well as the reflection of the bullet from the revolver. Klein couldn't help but take a step back, feeling that he was definitely one of the that this was definitely one of the most terrifying forms of any ghost stories. Rosego's corpse climbed to its feet, put on a police cap, and half covered its face. The murder scene had been cleaned, leaving zero traces. Incomparable professionalism, Klein marveled. He watched as Miss Bodyguard steered the corpse to lumber to the door. He had subconsciously warned her, don't take the carriage or walk in briskly lit places. It frightened the carriage driver and other passerbys. Miss Bodyguard didn't stop, completely ignoring his words. Suddenly, Klein thought of something. He realized that he had overlooked as he quickly added, on the way back, go to the Rice police station, Sergeant Foxine's home, or search around Minsk Street for the clothes Rosego was originally wearing. Rosego came wearing a police uniform, and the powers of a faceless were obviously limited to himself. So where were his previous clothes? He couldn't have been wearing a police uniform all night. If MI9 and the police found Rosego's clothes nearby and realized I'm not hurt, things would be tricky. Do you still think she's a traveler? No, because now it seems like she has some kind of spirit powers. She traveled this corpse out. Nice. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It seems with some kind of spirit powers. Sorry, I'm just looking through my notes to see if I can find anything that might be fitting. Hold on. Sorry. I mean, the only thing that makes me think spirits would be like corpse collector pathway, something like a spirit medium, but they don't have any kind of traveling abilities because Madame Dalian doesn't. So, I mean, maybe if you get high enough, like maybe she's like Night Watcher or some shit. I don't fucking know. I don't know. Yeah, I'll stick with Traveler for now. I don't know anything. I just don't know. Miss Bodyguard is an expert that's not considered a legal beyonder. For a normal detective to pay £1,000 to hire a bodyguard is enough to arouse suspicion. Klein kept thinking, trying to seal all the loopholes ahead of time. Just as he was about to use his divination ability to help Miss Bodyguard find his old clothes, Rosego's corpse paused and said, I know. She seems very confident. Oh right, her state is between the physical and spirit world, and the principle behind divination is to travel to the spirit world. Thus she can rely on her instincts to divine. Having realized this, Klein didn't say another word. He handed the carriage to a cartridge case to Rosego's corpse and watched her walk out the door and close the door politely. The spoil of war I chose is a beyonder characteristic contaminated by the true creator. I believe no one would be able to divine it. Even if they did, they would feel the danger ahead of time and wouldn't dare to proceed. While thinking over the matter, Klein walked over to the sofa, sat down, feeling a lingering sense of fear. Ain't going to my exam ain't going to my exam next Wednesday. Interesting how different pathways use the same. That's true. Yeah. Like she just in that state has a, like, I don't know if she naturally just always exists there or she has the ability to just come into a physical form completely. But like if she always exists in that form or has the ability to move in and out, then she's basically in an infinite state of divination forever, which is cool. The battle lasted no more than a minute, nor had it been fierce enough to destroy anything, but the ferocity and danger of it had been only second to what had been experienced when facing Megos and the baby in her womb. Even with the powerful Miss Bodyguard and the language of foulness, he had almost fallen under Rosego's control and killed without being able to put up resistance. The ability of a marionettist is very odd and powerful. According to the law of beyonder characteristic conservation, the characteristic left behind by Rosego should include all of the main ingredients of sequence 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. If it wasn't contaminated by evil god, If it was matched with the supplementary ingredients, a normal person could instantly become sequence 5. Of course, this kind of method relied completely on luck, had been long abandoned by history. It's one of the most primitive and dangerous methods. Chris, I'm an accounting major. My last exam was Tuesday. So I'm all done. It was my last semester, 4th year. I'm all done. I'm just, yeah. Now my graduation would be in June, assuming I pass everything. Lol. Canada Unhinged. The Great White North, your 51st state. Thank you, Chris. Advancing step by step according to sequence is the best way and has been verified by the lives of countless predecessors. If I can get rid of the corruption of the true creator in the future, then I can also use beyonder characteristics left behind by Rosego when advancing from 6 to 5. The additional characteristics will only make me stronger, like the captain. Canada's great. I want to visit one day. It's great. Just make sure not to do so between the months of November and March. Any other time, it's great. As Klein recalled the past, he raised his hand to pinch his forehead. He then turned to think about something more important. Rosego's appearance meant that the struggle for the manuscript had ended. Could his lack of charms have something to do with him finishing all the charms in battle? To come to such a critical juncture, it's likely he had the intention of diverting attention. MI9 probably didn't expect him to seek out revenge so boldly under the circumstance. They didn't send anyone to monitor me and could only passively wait for Rosego to give them the signal. Rosego was Bakerland's assistant, and his actions would have been directed only by Bakerland. After his death, as long as Bakerland is dead, there would be no more latent danger left. I wonder if the assassination has already begun or if it succeeded. It did. By the way, I'm curious, does Klein end up paying this bodyguard for all 3 days, or does he just pay her for this one day and doesn't have to pay her the other $600? My southern ass would die from the cold as soon as I reach Tennessee. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, as long as you came between April and like September or October, it's pretty good. April is like amazing weather. This year in particular has been a little rough. The weather's just been kind of dog shit. What's the weather like right now? Hold on. Like, it's 17 degrees right now. That's Celsius, so that's 63 F for you. And it's like 9 p.m. So it's like, it's pretty good. A little on the chilly side, maybe, especially at night because there'll be like strong winds and stuff. But like, good. In the winter, we'll get to like -40, which is fucked. -40. What does that look like in Fahrenheit? -40 C2F. Oh, -40 is just -40. It's just that perfect spot. Perfect. Sorry, where was I? Tonight, because of the battle over Helmund's manuscript, the powers defending Bakerland would be at its weakest. If it were me, I'd definitely not miss this opportunity. I'm sure Bakerland didn't think that someone would assassinate him. A Sequence 5 lost against Sequence 8 in a minute. That's why he's a fraud? Again, he lost to a Sequence 8 plus a Sequence 5 or 6. I don't know, whatever the bodyguard is. Plus a god charm. So, I don't know. The penny tumbled in the air as it... With nothing to do, Klein fished out a coin and recited with a suppressed tone. Bakerland is already dead. The penny tumbled in the air and fell down into a palm of Klein's hand. It meant a positive result. Bakerland is dead. The assassination was a success. Klein was overjoyed. His tense nerves immediately relaxed. Without Rosego's interference, he believed that the result was correct. This matter had finally ended. Klein took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. He leaned back on the sofa and looked out the window at the faint crimson moon amid his fatigue and relief. Wait, what did I miss? Romero spoiling? Alright, I missed his message, so... Alright. Inside the Intis Republic's embassy, 2 military officials were squatting beside Bakerland's body, examining the cause of his death. He said that earlier, thought that was mentioned. What? What did I say? Please, tell me, don't be shy. I won't tell anyone, probably. I might, I don't know. Might do a trial. You know, felt cute, might delete later, sort of thing. Their partners and their superiors had already gone out, chasing in a bid to capture the assassin. However, everyone knew it was too late and there was no hope left. There's severe lung damage, suspected to be the result of a disease. An extremely strong fatal blow, one much stronger than a Sequence 5 Beyonder I've ever seen, one of the officials said. Disease on the floor and on the bed. There were obvious marks of flesh and blood magic on the ground and on the bed, but none on the wall. Besides, the commotion of the fight wasn't transmitted outside. Was it because, did Mr. A put up like a spiritual wall? Or was there just no one here? Finally, with the lethal blow having the characteristic of corruption and obliteration, there were at least 4 unconnected Beyonder powers. Another military official stood up and began to describe the situation as if he was talking to himself. They all said in unison, "Shepherd." After a few seconds of silence, the squatting officials frowned and said, "It might be a group of at least 4 different Beyonders." Doubt it. Chapter number? That's a great question. I'll let you know in 2 seconds, Nagato, as soon as I finish this one and we get to the next one. No, it's because, he used the power of the lawyer's pathway. Yes, thank you. And don't disturb us so nobody ever heard him. Ah, so clever. Well, we'll wait to be judged. It's normal for us not to discover the infiltration of a single Rose Bishop, but how did the other 3 do it? It's impossible. The standing military official denied the guess as he hesitantly said, "I've heard of other sequences that can create similar effects. I think it's called a scribe. I don't know what pathway, nor do I know which organization it belongs to." The squatting military official said, "A shepherd is the prime suspect. The Aurora Order are a bunch of lunatics. It's nothing odd for them to do. Let's begin investigating the identity of the man that seduced the ambassador. Damn it, the Lone Kingdom definitely won't permit our investigations." Alright, hold on. Writing, I gotta write down scribe. Scribe has a power similar to shepherd, is it? Or similar to what? Scribe. Unknown. Sequence. Or maybe it's similar to the Rose Bishop sequence. Look at the art at the end of this chapter. Sounds good, Romero. Or sounds good, Miller. Sorry. Will do. These Aurora Order bastards are lunatics who deserve to be f***ed by donkeys. The standing official said in frustration they were bound to be punished for the assassination. At 15 Minsk Street, Klein pretended as though nothing had happened, putting up his head in fatigue, flipping through the papers. After about 20 minutes, he saw Miss Bodyguard in her regal dress and long, pale blonde hair appear in an oriel window. "Is it done?" he asked. She nodded without saying a word. "Thank you for your protection. This matter ends here. I'll pay the remaining £900 in 2 days. As you know, there's a withdrawal limit. Or should I hand it over to Merrick?" The pale-faced lady opened and closed her mouth, her voice seemingly ethereal. "Just give it to me. I promise to protect you for 3 days, not just once." "Lady, you really abide by the contract. However, this is really inconvenient. Are you going to catch me? Are you going to go with me to catch the adulterer in bed tomorrow? Today's 3 days. Today's Thursday, and the protection will be over Sunday afternoon. Thankfully, it wouldn't affect the tarot gathering. All right, how should I address you?" You don't need to know. She lifted her gothic regal dress, bowed slightly, and disappeared from the oriel window. That's cool as fuck. Sag. 253. Alright, artwork. Before Milo starts yelling at me again. But Miss Bodyguard? Oh my god. Best girl. Who's fours? Forgot about her already. You know what's funny? Probably all the high sequence beyonders know the name. I know all the potion names, and here Audrey buys them with money. Yeah, probably. Yeah, but that sense is like the work. Oh, sorry. I realized I have the wrong one up. Sorry. Here we go. So, like this one just looks, she looks scary as shit. Jesus. This one, that's very cute. Looks very nice. It's a cute chibi doll. Love it. This one's amazing. New best girl for sure. Holy shit. What do you mean, what do I mean scary? Just look at it. Open your eyes, bro. No, this one looks amazing. That one looks scary as fuck. Y'all are weird. It's like a interesting style. I'm not negative. I'm not opposed to it. This is nice. Also looks very good. Oh, that's very cool. It's very, very detailed. I like it. Sheesh. That's very nice. Oh my god, look at this. God. You guys have some good fucking art, dude. Like, okay, that looks great. That looks great. Totally here for it. New best girl, for sure. Who's fours? Forgot about her already. That looks very nice too. The song fits this very well. That's good. Yeah, like, okay, seriously. You're telling me this doesn't look scary to you? You're out of your fucking mind. Holy shit. Who the fuck is this guy? The second to last picture was the official artwork? Yeah. Like that looks very nice. That looks amazing. She looks great. Who the fuck is this guy? Sherlock? Chad Rosego. Little screen time nearly killed the MC. Stalemated Miss Bodyguard. Tank the raving of madness. 5 bullets to the head. Slumber charm to finally get killed. Oh, that's oh, that's Klein. Oh, I see. So he only looks at this after. Mr. A, just out of his fucking mind. Yeah, this guy's clearly out of his fucking mind. Okay, listen. In fairness, I will agree the body type isn't the same, but you think beyond the body type. Okay, just that's all I'm gonna say. Hear me out. The fire priest from Elden Ring. Hear me out. You can kind of see it. Someone can see it, please. Don't just look at how well fed my boy is, okay? He He's eating good, okay? Oh, come on! Come on! Come on! Someone's gotta see that, please! Oh my god. He's stark raving fucking mad! Yes, holy fire, Josh. That guy's out of his This guy's out of his fucking mind. Like, there's no doubt about it. This guy's out of his fucking mind. That looks very cool. Aurora Order members are canonically very beautiful. Hey, okay, hey, I don't like the insinuation that my boy, you can't even see his face. How do you know he's not beautiful? How do you know he's not beautiful? God, you guys are so mean. What the fuck? Nope, God. 253. All right, we'll get to 2. We'll finish this and the next. I think we'll actually just leave it here. We'll get done a little early and then I can go to the gym. Okay, I don't like the insinuation that he can't be beautiful. Okay? I don't like this. I don't like this side of you guys. Be better. She really has quite a character, Klein smiled in response. Bro, skip my art. Was there more? Fuck. Sorry, hold on. Was there more? Oh, sorry. No. I guess Sherlock again. Or Klein again. Very nice. Very cool, Nagito. Yes, to be able to fend off Rosego, a marionettist, for a short period of time to the extent of having a seesaw battle, she is most likely a Sequence 5 Beyonder. I wonder what sequence pathway she belongs to and what her potion name is. Her state is quite unique. If it weren't for the fact... sorry. If it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have even had the chance to use Language of Foulness. Klein picked up his newspaper beside him and pretended to read, but he was actually thinking. However, he quickly turned his attention back to the issue of whether there were still loopholes on the matter. For example, the contaminated Beyonder characteristic left behind by Rosego had an intense luster of spirituality. It was very likely that it couldn't be concealed by the iron cigar case alone, so it would be exposed to the prying eyes of the others using the spirit vision. Secret suppliants, they can only be at 2 of the most 3. Beautiful, smart, tuning. Oh, overlay. Thank you. Thank you, Light. Klein secretly activated his spirit vision, looked at his pocket, and could see a faint, colorful luster emanating from below the case. It wasn't obvious and was rather thin. This was mixed with the color of his own aura, making it difficult to distinguish or detect. That's right, only a high sequence Beyonder can identify it through 2 levels of interference. No wonder all kinds of materials like herbal powders and corresponding essential oils are kept in metal bottles and not wooden vessels. It's because they contain spirituality, and those with spirit vision can see through wood and see the colors of their aura. Klein suddenly remembered some of the most important details in mysticism. In the past, he did things according to the rules without considering the reasons, but now he understood the underlying reasons. After repeatedly checking and ensuring everything was in order, Klein put down the newspaper and walked to the 2nd floor. He had originally planned to take off his clothes and take a bath to completely relax himself, but when he thought of how Miss Justice could appear out of nowhere, he felt a little uneasy. Therefore, he only washed his face, brushed his teeth, and soaked his feet in hot water. No worries, Ramiro. I appreciate you sticking around for so long, buddy. You have, get some sleep. Therefore, yes. Returning to his bedroom and taking off his coat, Klein hid his belongings before he collapsed onto his bed. He was exhausted and had held on for quite a while. He ended up with tense nerves that prevented him from quickly falling asleep. When's your next stream? 13 and a half hours, give or take. Chris, if I think mostly everyone is, but if you're interested in like heads up and stuff, consider joining the Discord. It's in the description. I always give heads up there for when I'm going to stream. Klein had hid his belongings before he collapsed onto his bed. As he was exhausted and held on for quite a while, he ended up with tense nerves that prevented him from quickly falling asleep. Opening his eyes to look at the crimson moonlight on the ceiling, Klein didn't attempt to sleep with the help of cogitation. Instead, he aimlessly unfurled his thoughts as though he was riding a horse without pulling the reins. As his thoughts wandered, he noticed a problem having encountered too many coincidences in Tingen City and learning it was related to 008. My second case after arriving in Backland allowed me to get the next 3 potion formulas. Is that too much of a coincidence? Although this is in line with the revelation from my divination, Backland contains opportunities for me to get powerful. Isn't it too fast and simple? Simple doesn't refer to difficulty, but rather to the degree of twists and turns. This matter was difficult and dangerous, but it wasn't complex and appeared simple. According to my expectations, I would have gathered information regarding the secret order through Miss Justice, Hanged Man, Miss Shio, and her companions. Then I would tail this ancient organization. After numerous twists and turns, I would obtain formulas that would take at least 3 months. Who knew I would succeed in less than 3 weeks? It can't be that it was arranged by someone, right? I mean, it makes sense that he's paranoid. Yes, let me think through the circumstances again. It's no coincidence that the Intis Republic is related to the Secret Order. Emperor Rosel's diary confirmed this. And the abilities of a seer and faceless are very suited for an intelligence organization. For a mid-sequence of a similar pathway to become an assistant of a higher intelligence czar like Bakerland is rational and reasonable. Not a coincidence. The reason that the ambassador sent for someone like me to take revenge on someone like me has to do with wanting to divert attention. Then Rosego, who can easily succeed and escape, is a choice with a reduced risk. Not surprising. It's quite normal for Ian to look at new detectives in the papers after none of the detectives he knew were cooperating with the mission of tracking down Zariel. There weren't many new detectives advertising in the paper all the time. I was probably the only one. Well, I was the only one on the Backland Bulletin anyway. Just like what I've concluded previously, the problem with Merceau was that he was too rash, and I was worried that it's not easy to disguise myself, usually as it ends up attracting more attention. Therefore, I didn't try to disguise myself, although these 2 possibilities, especially the former, had the probability of being influenced. It does match the corresponding person's personality, mentality, and origins. And this isn't the main point. It doesn't explain the problem of my second case having involved a mid-sequence beyonder of the seer pathway. Was it destined by fate? That doesn't feel right. Thinking ahead, after I transmigrated in my first and second case, I found myself embroiled with someone related to the seer pathway. Of course, it could be explained as an arrangement of 008. Right, the indigenous family notebook even corrupted the misfortune cloth puppet and showed me the complicated vertical eye symbols that involves the indigenous family treasure. The reason I came up with back then was that the termination of the indigenous bloodline, it saw me, a seer, as its inheritor. But now that I think about it, the reason was extremely trifling. What if I'm a devout believer of the Evernight goddess, but I only made a guess at that time and didn't confirm? The indigenous family treasure is obviously related to the seer pathway. Thinking deeper, why did I transmigrate? Why did I possess Klein's body, not anyone else? Klein had just proceeded with a dark divination and was made to commit suicide by the indigenous family notebook. And that notebook is clearly related to the seer pathway. In addition, the first time I saw Rosel's diary, it had contained the contents. It had contents that involved his regret of not choosing apprentice, marauder, or seer. That was coincidental. From beginning to end, except those parts involving 008, everything appeared to be in a mess. It doesn't seem like a conscious arrangement. More like a passive attraction, mutual attraction. An attraction that has breaks between them. I attract things and items related to the seer pathway, and at the same time, I'm attracted to them. It does seem kind of odd. This kind of attraction even directly influences fate, preventing even Mr. Azek from seeing through it. Is there some strange characteristic to me, and the characteristic allows me to be resurrected a number of times? With this in mind, Klein suddenly had the impulse to go above the grey fog to do a divination and confirm his idea. But he quickly rejected this idea, not only because Miss Bodyguard might be watching, but also because he believed the greatest characteristic was the mysterious space above the grey fog. Therefore, it was impossible for him to have an answer if he used it to divine about it. At least for now, there aren't any obvious signs of manipulation. It would be acceptable if it's just pure attraction, and I've already chosen a Beyonder pathway that can't be changed until sequence 4. I can only take things one step at a time. Right, I should be firm about not heading to the Hornaces mountain range to seek out the indigenous family treasure. I have a feeling I would say how nice it is in the future when I actually do it. His eyelids couldn't help but close. His last thought before he fell asleep was, I should participate in more Beyonder gatherings and gather the corresponding Beyonder ingredients to Magician through Miss Justice, the Hanged Man, and the Sun. I wouldn't reject anything for Faceless if it were available. In addition, I should obtain mystical items that have less severe negative effects. Before my digestion and increase in strength, it's best to have more life preservation abilities. Apart from this, investing, taking on jobs, saving money, and attempts to look for Lanovis to use him as a starting point for my revenge can also be considered a form of practice. Good lord. This is a quiet, long chapter, I will say. Good lord. Those were Klein's future plans. At 7 in the morning, he woke up as usual. It was still gloomy and hazy. Klein got up and walked to the door. As he walked by the full-length mirror, he saw that Miss Bodyguard suddenly appeared. Her voice pierced through the glass and slipped into Klein's ears. Someone from MI9 visited last night. Should I say as expected? The police came late, but I still have to thank them for being late. Klein smiled and said, they didn't find anything, right? In regards to the answer, he was very certain that if MI9 discovered something, he wouldn't be able to sleep undisturbed. No, Miss Bodyguard's figure faded and disappeared into the mirror. This ability of hers is powerful. Even spirit vision can't detect her. Perhaps she can be seen with Rosego's Beyonder characteristic. Find Miss Bodyguard through those hidden threads. Klein's mind stirred as he returned to his bed and took out the cigar from the iron cigar case from under his pillow. As he touched it, before he could even open it, a bone-piercing cold rushed through his neck. He felt his hair stand on end and his entire body trembled. His hand loosened and the iron cigar case fell to the ground. This is a warning from Miss Bodyguard. Klein laughed dryly, pretending as though nothing had happened, and he stuffed the case back into his pocket. That's just a cool little don't you fucking dare. After washing up and putting on his clothes, he arrived at the first door, took out the newspaper that he had subscribed to. Flipping open to the Tussock Times, he saw the headline, Intis Ambassador to Backland murdered, terrorist organization, Aurora Order claims responsibility. The result is out so quickly? Besides, the Aurora Order had only accepted a job. Why would they claim responsibility? A terrorist organization needs to show off their stature and build up their image. Only then would they be able to attract enough fresh blood. This complements their secret preachings. Mr. A is very good. He should be a shepherd. Klein stood in the hallway reading the newspaper. According to the news, there was evidence of the Aurora Order's assault on Ambassador Bakerland. In the follow-up investigation, they found a letter deliberately left behind by the Aurora Order which claimed responsibility. Doubt it. At the end of the news, the reporter briefly introduced the Aurora Order and listed some of the crimes they had committed. Their fame instantly surpassed most of the secret organizations. Regardless, this matter had come to an end. Klein exhaled, turned his head to the side, and saw a thin mist filling the air as a drizzle began to patter down. Shouldn't there be bright sunshine and sunny weather during such moments? Klein laughed. Now he had to go out to catch some adulterers. Perfect. Look at that. I think just shy of 3 hours. What was that? 8 chapters. That was very good. All right. I think we'll end it there, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for popping by and staying all the way to the end. If you did, hope you have a great rest of your day or nights. I hope I'll see you again for the next stream or whenever you have a second. And I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Thank you, Chris. If anyone is not and you're interested, perhaps consider joining the Discord. The link is in the description. And I'll catch y'all later. Thank you.